All right, now we're on. Okay, what's going on, guys? It's Cruzin Podcast. I want to welcome our new guest today, Alex, Made In Dade Tattoos. Yes, welcome, man. We've been talking. I love when I get guests like this, like you, because like when you come in, it's already an immediate conversation where I'm like, okay, I want to get this going now. You know.
Yeah,
so I was testing.
We have been shooting the shit since I walked through the door.
I love that though, because it's the perfect guest to have on. You know, where you can just start talking, you're comfortable, and you're ready to go.
It's a lot better than I don't know if y'all. Well, when I used to follow TV more, having Robert De Niro as a guest, the dude is a freaking rock.
Yeah.
He'll sit there and just with his shit-eating grin on his face, won't say a damn thing.
Yeah.
Won't say a damn thing. I'm like, how do you work with that?
Yeah, his interviews, and like when you want, that's what you're looking. You want personality. You want,
sure, man.
You know,
we need content. We need life. We need energy.
You know what they expect from it, right? I don't know if you've seen that YouTube show, Hot Ones. Have you heard of it? Yeah, right. It's a great. I actually love that show so much because it's a different take on the basic interview questions. You know, I don't know about you, but like late night shows, I'm over it. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, ever since politics took over TV,
for sure,
I don't watch regular TV, so that ended. And it's sad for me because I enjoyed the late night talk shows because you'd have an opportunity to get a little insight into these actors, you know, and what they're actually like outside of, you know, work. You know? So I liked it, but then everything became just political, this and that, you know, slander. So I was just, I you know,
kills the mood.
Yeah, there's a time for politics, and then there's a time for let's just talk and be normal.
Exactly. It does suck. Like everywhere you go on TV, it's that. You know what I mean?
It's hideous,
and that's why I think it's a great thing that actually Paul Rudd said this. He was on the Conan. You know Conan O'Brien,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
So he transitioned from late night. Well, I think he still does it, but he's leaving soon. But he started a podcast. Okay. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend or something. So he gets guests on, but he gets them on the podcast, like long format, like 40, 50 minutes, just straight conversation.
Right.
And he had Paul Rudd on, and Paul Rudd was saying how he actually always wanted to be a talk show host at one point. But then when he started going on them, he found out that it was all scripted and it was fake, and he was like so saddened by that. Wow. He's like, I thought it was a natural thing.
Because I actually thought like Rudd, you know, that it was a little more natural. I didn't know that it was so scripted. Completely. I mean, thinking about it now, it certainly does make sense, you know, because it is on live TV. So, you know, the producers like to make sure they have as much control over it as they can. So it's understandable to a point.
Yeah, like completely scripted
but
from
I
the
didn't
questions.
Know it was like that.
Yeah. And
like
he said,
you mean the guests coming on?
Oh, questions and everything. That's all pre-rehearsed.
Your kid? What?
Yeah.
I saw once. It was I think with Jimmy Fallon, and he had Thor on. Chris
Hemsworth. Yeah.
And he was saying a story about a kid who met him, whatever. Then when I saw him again on Conan, he was saying the same exact story again. I was like, so it's like a set of questions.
It's a formula
for each
It's a
show.
formula, and he mentioned how that's why he loves podcasts so much. Like that, he didn't realize at the time, but that's actually what he was looking for, because podcasting, that's raw. That's just real, authentic conversation.
And also, you know, I think it's just the evolution of things, you know.
Yeah.
Podcasting's the new thing. You
For
know
sure.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody seems to be transitioning to podcasting, I guess, due to the freedom and flexibility and the comfort. You know, you don't got to be so...
It's more open.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, with a whole set and audience and this and that, podcasting, like, we could do it anywhere. Just like Seinfeld, with the car thing, he picks up a guest and coffee. I forgot.
Coffee something?
Comedians...
Comedians and coffee? Or comedians and cars?
Yeah,
comedians and coffee. I think something like that.
Something with cars and comedian.
Yeah, because they always go for coffee.
Yeah.
It's always breakfast or something like that.
And they just talk in the car.
Because people want authenticity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't want to see a script just laid out in front of us. That's why a lot of people, like, I think Hot Ones, that's why I love Hot Ones so much, because he's asking you, like, different, interesting questions while you're dying from hot wings.
You know, leads me to plugging our boy the Schmo. There's this guy called the Schmo and the Pro, you know, on UFC. And I remember when he first started his thing, you know, people didn't know what to make of him because he was very over the top clownish.
Right.
I'm the schmo, you're the pro, how are we doing?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And like everyone was kind of half on and half off, more on the you're so different and odd, I don't know if I really want to like you kind of vibe. But because the guy never broke from character and stayed going with it, he ended up breaking through. Now he's a huge hit. And now everybody loves him. Everybody wants to get interviewed by him. And but more impressively is that the questions he actually does ask, like the hot ones, they're very good questions. The guy, it's not just a stupid, silly show. He is a really good journalist, a reporter, who does his homework and is very well prepared, but he plays it off as this character to kind of bring something different to the scene,
like this entertaining aspect of it.
Yeah, just to kind of catch the fighter and whoever he's interviewing off guard, to just bring you on a different kind of level.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it totally worked.
It's something that people. It kind of grows on them over time if you stay consistent.
And there's I think there's a real parallel there with Hot Ones. In Hot Ones' case, they're eating spicy chicken wings. That's gonna get a reaction out of you.
It's very personal, almost, right? Like you're seeing this celebrity break down with wings, and they don't know how to act.
Maybe that was part of the psychology. We'll never know.
It's interesting.
Or it was just a natural occurrence. Like, oh, what? I didn't think that was gonna happen like that, but that's even better.
Yeah.
Because it just brings more reality, more rawness out of the person that's being.
On top of every person that he gets on, they're always complimenting Sean Evans on his great questions. They're like, man, we never get these type of questions. You ask great questions, and it's also fun. And while they're breaking down on hot wings, it's great. It's refreshing.
And who wouldn't want to be on there?
Yeah.
Who would not? Man, come on.
That's an awesome show.
I can't say that I pride myself on, having a high threshold for spice, but I'll definitely burn my face off. Yeah. Just to have an opportunity to be on that show.
That would be awesome. Don't you hate those people, like the guests that go on, they take like a smudge, like they barely even bite into the wing. Have you seen those guests?
I think Billie Eilish was like that.
She had
literally
nuggets.
Chicken tenders. Such a child. Come on.
She really is though. She's what, like 18 or something?
Yeah, she's probably 19 now.
Yeah. But I hate that when I see the guests, they don't even eat the whole wing. One who did that.
The idea is you got to take at least one big solid bite.
Yes, at least. Because
we're gonna eat a lot of wings. We don't got to super stuffed on TV, but give me a solid bite. I'll give you solid.
Did you see the Ronda Rousey one?
No, I didn't.
Oh, dude, she just like the whole wing, one after one, just the whole thing.
Damn,
she was an animal. Yeah,
she ate them all like that.
She showed him a trick, like how you eat wings, where she would like break it and then just like and just scoop out all the meat with the sauce.
She was pretty bad.
She was an animal.
Well,
I respect that.
I respect that. But
she's like a tough motherfucker. So
yeah,
she is. Unfortunately for her, she got exposed too much to her own bad luck when she did The Ultimate Fighter years ago, and it really showed her true personality, and not a nice person.
Really,
not a nice person. Made a lot of people who were on her bandwagon like get off the bandwagon.
Wow. Why is that
because perhaps, like in most cases, fame will affect all of us. We're only human. Unless you're older and more experienced, where life has grounded you much more solid, you can control it better. But for the most part, when you're younger and not that experienced, and you do achieve fame at a younger age, it'll definitely tremendously affect your attitude and your personality and obviously your ego, and I think that it just I would hate to say something really ugly about somebody so talented, you know, but I think it just really displayed what a negative background she may have been coming from, to not say anything uglier.
Right,
you know?
right.
Whereas I don't know enough specifically about her to say something that negative.
Yeah.
But she certainly did expose more than enough of her true character that it was enough to make someone like myself go, yeah, you just a bully bitch, you know what I'm saying? That thinks your shit don't stink, you know.
How long ago was that show?
Oh man, that was the beginning of the end for her, man. That was back when she was feuding with Misha Tate. Probably 5 years ago now.
Okay.
You know, somewhere around then, because she was still on her winning curve.
Oh, okay.
And then shortly after, she got decapitated.
Yeah, when was that fight that
But you know what,
she got knocked
what I find
out?
crazy
Well,
is that
the first one was Holly Holmes chopped her up, and then
Amanda,
and then
Nunes,
yeah,
dude,
yeah,
she destroyed her.
and then she made the insane mistake, much like the Poirier McGregor fight. You know, she made the crazy, and this is where ego, you know, becomes your worst enemy, because you know, you're riding this wave of success for like, I don't know, 9 or 10 fights in a row where she was armbarring everybody, and then to her disadvantage, she started scoring wins with strikes, knockouts, and then that's where she actually started derailing her career, in my opinion. Because what happened was she suddenly started thinking, oh, I'm just as much a great striker as I am a judo expert at, you know, getting people on the ground and getting that arm bar.
Yeah.
And then she just got a little too ahead of herself, because I think she may have scored like 2 knockouts in a row with punches. And she had this new trainer, this guy, Edward Tarvidian or something like that, some European dude, who just, everything about this guy came off as just like a douchebag Borat type of character. You know, the guy was just a dick.
Yeah.
You know, like I could see right through him. And he had her thinking that she was this, oh man, she's got talent for striking. She's got the best boxing hands I've ever seen, because he was like a boxing coach. And then she had the Holly Holmes fight, and I could just see directly into her head how she came out, you know, with this attitude of, because Holly Holmes is a world boxing champ. You know, she comes from a boxing background, and she was the female boxing champion in boxing. So I could see into Rousey's head where she was like, oh, I'm going to come out here, I'm going to outbox the shit out of this bitch. I'm going to show the world, you know, that I'm not just a ground specialist. And she went out with a plan A with no plan B, you know?
Yeah.
And had she gone out, had she never strayed from her original working formula, which is why the old expression exists, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
You know, it's also the reason why Khabib went undefeated, because he stuck with one formula for life.
Yeah, if it's working, it's working.
Yeah,
why?
you know,
you don't have to prove anything to anyone.
I'm going to go out to the first round, and I'm going to get you to the ground. I'm going to wear you the hell out. And the second round, I'm going to wear you out some more. But then, once I know I've got you real softened up, now I'm going to try to give the fans a little more of what they want, and we'll let it stand a little bit. But you're slower and tired now, so I can get you on the standing and so forth, you know? And he never strayed from that. You know, he faced a lot of fighters who tried to get in his head and make him stand with them and things like that.
Or I'm sure even fans too, right? Like booing during the fight or anything like that.
Yeah.
At that point, it's just, at least with her,
but the thing with Khabib was that he was never really dull. You know, for a ground fighter, a lot of ground fighters, man, they were dull as hell, man. Just hold you on the ground, do nothing all day, you know? But Khabib was always doing something. He was always mauling you in some way or another. So his fights were never boring, you know?
He's a disciplined guy too, right? Like,
well, that's that European discipline, man. They come from that hard, cold, disciplined background.
He wrestled bears or something, right? Like,
as a kid. Nobody can get off of that shit.
Dude, I mean, look at when he fought Conor. Dude, that crank he had him in, that dude, like his neck. Like,
man, I gotta tell you, again, I could be wrong. You know, I wish Connor was here because
I wish too. That would be great.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But it was the ego. You know, I think I was actually in Europe when I seen that fight, and I didn't know how the time format changes. I was in Denmark, and that whole day, the only thing I was telling my people that I was with is, I'm watching that damn fight. I don't care whatever anybody wants to do, but tonight I'm watching that fight. I didn't know that fight would start. You know what time the fight came on? At like 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh.
Yeah, man. And I'm sitting here like, what's
You're waiting.
I would wake up every half hour. Did
you end up watching it? Did you get to see it? You did.
Oh,
nice.
Man, I'm
you know what's crazy is that like the Connor and oh my God, what's her name? Rousey. They were like both the top in their game, and then how now they're slowly like moving it away. Like it's crazy how
different reasons, but similar truth. Yeah, they've both kind of disassembled. That's the huge question mark surrounding Connor right now.
Yeah.
Because now the only thing that matters is the third fight, the rubber match with Poirier. So
if he loses that fight again, I don't know.
Yeah, if he loses that trilogy, yeah, I could see him retiring possibly. You know, or he'll go away and come back after a while because the money's good. It's Connor, you know.
Proper 12 is serving him well.
Yeah.
Huh?
Proper 12, yeah.
Dude, smart move. You know,
It's a great
smart move.
Yeah, but he made the mistake of fighting this guy, Khabib. He shouldn't. I think he wasn't ready. I think to not fight for so long and to go fight Khabib.
Definitely not smart. Not smart. The long layoffs, man. You know, it's like I play sports. I play. I've played handball, racquetball, paddleball, New York paddleball, and I'm addicted. You know, like that's my fountain of youth. I got hooked on that shit since I'm like 14, 15. In particular, when I was playing handball, sometimes people would walk up on the court and, oh, they play handball in Florida? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, you play? And they would be like, oh, yeah, but I'm from New York. I'd kill you. You know, it wouldn't even be a game. And I'd be like, really? Okay, I'm a very competitive person. And I'm like, well, how long has it been since you played? Oh, not that long, like 6 months. But, you know, it wouldn't even be a game. I'm like, 6 months? You're fucking dead. You're dead. I don't care how great you were. I'm going to kill you, you know? And I probably had that experience throughout my 3 or 4 years that I played handball. I probably had that experience about 4 or 5 different times where I was out there playing at night and just another goofball would come up with that same bullshit. And I'd smoke them.
Yeah.
I'd smoke them. And a lot of the New York players, they had very much the same style. Super good and aggressive and fast. But everything right there in front of the wall, you know? And a lot of Florida players from paddleball, we're high lobbing players. We use the entire length of the court, you know, whereas they're so focused on just smashing and crushing the rollers and this and that. So every time I'd get those New Yorkers, man, I'd just sit there and lob the ball, you know, and it would land all the way to the back of the court, and they'd have to be running out of position to go get it, and I'd just like drop it in.
And when you don't do it for 6 months, that's gonna take an effect on you. Right? Like,
conditioning
6 months is 6 months.
Practice, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sitting here when I was playing. I was playing like 4 times, 5 times a week. You know what I mean? So I was in the zone, and I was not a bad player. Sadly, I was never the greatest player. You know, in life, you know, you can go all in on something, but at the end of the day, you know, some people have reached this level, some are this level, some are that level.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You know, that's life. You just got to be content with what you can get, and as long as you got love for what you're doing, you're still gonna love it. You know, I'd never beat the best, but at least I was able to play with the best, and sometimes we'd get wins. You know, on like they say, on any given Sunday, man. You know, you can always pull out that win, and great experiences. But yeah, people cocky. You know, oh, I'm the shit. You know, I'm me. No one can beat me.
Even if they haven't played in 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah, they still.
It's a big impact because, you know, like a McGregor or anything like that. I mean, there was times he would go without like a fight for a while.
His breaks are too long, man.
It's too long.
His breaks are too long.
He can do the best training, but if you're not consistent,
because
your body.
What he's failing to recognize is that the sport is moving on without him, and the competition is getting better. The competition's getting better.
Any sport, it's always going to evolve. It's always going to evolve. So if you're not evolving with it and you're kind of coming in and out whenever you want, you're going to realize like, oh shit, it's way beyond what it was before.
Eventually that inconsistency is going to kick you in the ass. So.
And he did have that fight with Cowboy that he
got lucky.
He knocked him out like right away.
Yeah, it was fast. I think it was like 45 seconds in the first round. And again, he didn't know that was gonna he was going to come out with this shoulder smash, and he never imagined that the shoulder smash would have such effectiveness. That's the fight game. You know what I'm saying? You sometimes you come out with a new move that you didn't really use too much, but the person you're fighting against, they just, unfortunately for them, they fit right into that attack a little too well. And Cowboy's he's a much older veteran of the game now. And, he's of the mind that, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to give him my best shot, I'm going to try to win. But, shit gets too rough, I'm going to call it a night, 'cause I'm not trying to kill myself either. I'm a father, I'm towards the end of my career, I want to protect my health. So the shoulder hits came from out of nowhere. And that was right there. That was the beginning of the end. Cowboy's like, you know what? This shit sucks. And then, Connor starts opening up with the head kicks and shit. Like, all right, go ahead, finish me.
Literally.
I'm giving you your knockout. I'm going to make you look great. No one can say I chickened out. Look, I got my ass whooped, but I'm getting paid. I got paid. I showed up. I got to fight Connor and... Yeah,
it's one of those things that you don't see, like with Connor with the kick, right? When he got kicked all those times, it's just like,
no,
it's the most random things. It's never gonna go.
It's what you least expect.
Yeah,
I never seen that coming. It's like they say in boxing, it's the punch you didn't see.
Connor has been doing a lot of boxing,
huh?
Like Connor, he fought Mayweather, so his training was very different. So he was doing a lot more boxing and stuff. So then when he goes back to his to like leg kicks, elbows, and all that, that's a whole different game.
Yeah, again, like Rousey, I think that Connor may have taken a lot of overconfidence out of the Mayweather experiences. Oh, I boxed Mayweather. I lasted, I think, 9 or 10 rounds against Mayweather.
Was it 11? I thought it was 11.
It's like 10 or 11.
No. It was a 10-round fight. Because it wasn't a championship fight. Championship fights in boxing are 12 rounds.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I don't think he made it to the last round. I think he made it to like
gassed.
the 8th or 9th,
He got gassed.
And, and McGregor's known for a short tank. Just Mayweather had the perfect formula. You could almost say it was scripted. You know what I'm saying? Because... that fight, it went off so perfect. You couldn't have written it any better.
Because McGregor had some moments of, like, some highlight moments, but he didn't win.
McGregor had a little excitement in the first 3 rounds, and then from there it was just,
he just gassed.
Well, wasn't the gloves more padded? I think I read up that they wanted like extra padding on the
gloves or something like that.
I think I read something like that.
Some fights are like that.
Maybe McGregor wanted less padding on the gloves because he was used to a lighter weight glove, and Mayweather probably wanted the heavier padding because as a boxer they use thicker gloves.
Yeah.
That Mayweather, I admire his achievement and he's an incredible, one of the greatest athletes to ever play the game. But I'll always hold a grudge against him for what he denied boxing history
Pacquiao
in never giving us the Pacquiao fight when it was supposed to happen.
Prime.
Only true boxing fans, would agree with what I'm saying there, because as a lifelong boxing fan, I grew up watching boxing with my dad because he'd watch it, and I remember You know how when you're in kindergarten and first grade and they always ask, oh, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And everybody's like a fireman or an astronaut or a cop. I said boxer. I wanted to be a boxer. I had a teacher like,
really?
Like,
what's
wrong with this kid? But, you know, having grown up through so many eras of boxing, you know, in every era, I got to see the top guys that would always separate from the crop. And those top guys, they never failed to fight one another eventually while still in their primes.
No.
You know? Whereas Mayweather was the only fighter who absolutely did deny boxing history the right of giving the history that fight of, you know, the two greatest meeting while still in their prime.
No.
And he'll always spin it. Mayweather's he's such a master of words. I could see him going into politics and becoming an incredible politician. Because he's a master of words, you know. And I remember every time that the talk would start up about, okay, they're going to fight, you know, and the plans would derail shortly after. Mayweather would always be the first one with, oh, you see, I wanted to fight him, but, you know, he chickened out. And then lo and behold, afterwards, you'd find out the actual real details of what happened and why it failed to happen. And as clear as day, it was always Mayweather that set up these insanely ridiculous conditions for Pacquiao to ever accept, which is why it never happened, you know, because it was so stupid, you know, it was ludicrous. And I know for a fact that in my heart that Mayweather always did that because his primary focus throughout his entire career was to go through his career undefeated without taking ever any damage as much as possible.
Yeah. And
so any fighter who would reach the area of somewhat risky and dangerous was just, okay, no. You know, it's like when we bet on fights, we have this rule where if a fight's just too close to call, it can go either way, then nah, you know,
just don't even.
Because too much of a chance you're going to lose your money on that, you know?
Yeah.
Like Mayweather taught us, I only bet when I know I can win.
Yeah.
You know? So you look for the bets where at least the odds seem much more in your favor.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson, actually, I read something about Mike Tyson saying something similar to that about Mayweather. He's like, he doesn't consider him a great compared to all these other fighters because all these other fighters fought more, but they also fought people like what you just said right now, where there was that challenge where they didn't back out from that. He actually said something like that very recently.
Yeah, man.
I read up on it.
And it's really aggravating and tragic because, you know, Mayweather was usually in boxing when the two best come together and it's a slick fighter versus a puncher. The slick fighter always wins, you know, like when Roy Jones faced James Toney. James Toney was this big badass dude and he was a puncher, and Roy Jones was this really super slick, super fast guy. And, you know, everybody thought Tony was going to mop him, you know, and Jones just put on a show that night, you know, and that was where Jones just catapulted to fame. Much the same way as what they call I think it was the Thrilla in Manila when Ali fought against Foreman, you know, and Foreman was just this monster with power. You know, Foreman was like an early Mike Tyson, you know, way before Mike Tyson. He just had bombs in his fists, and everybody thought Ali was going to get murdered. Like, they begged him, don't take this fight. And Ali was coming into this fight after a long layoff, you know?
Wow. Yeah, okay.
And Ali out-slicked the dog shit out of him. You know what I'm saying?
It's amazing.
So that's why I say Mayweather, 70 to 80% probability, probably would have beaten Pacquiao, you know? But we'll never know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I will say, For me, of all the fighters I've seen in my entire life, I think Pacquiao will always be my favorite because of the things that I've seen him do and the things that I've seen him come back from. You know, the night that I seen him get put to sleep by Juan Manuel Marquez, you know, which was, if you didn't believe in something like karma, that fight right there taught you to believe in karma, because there's true karma in boxing. I've seen it numerous times. And with Marquez, they had this series, that was the fourth fight. The fifth never happened, you know? But in the previous three fights, Marquez was just that guy that he just had fucking Pacquiao's number. Like, Pacquiao could beat the shit out of him, but Marquez would just still be there in his face, giving it back, you know? And one of the most remarkable boxing fights I'd ever seen was the very first time Marquez fought Pacquiao.
Mm-hmm.
Mind-blowing. You know, this is when Pacquiao just started blowing up. And Marquez was a respected fighter. And in the first round, Pacquiao pretty much turned Marquez into a broomstick and just mopped the entire boxing ring with his face, you know? And then from the second round on, bro, you never seen nothing like it. It was like Marquez just little by little just started outboxing the shit out of fucking Pacquiao all the way to the end. All the way to, like, I think that fight ended in a draw or it went to Pacquiao, but really, the case could be made. Marquez, of the three fights, at least two of the three, he could have actually gotten that decision. But every time in the three fights, Pacquiao always got the decisions, like a split decision victory or a draw and whatever. And that fourth fight, man, when Pacquiao got knocked out so nasty.
He was winning. I remember he was like, the guy was like he was
no, because Marquez had dropped him earlier in that fight with this amazing giant looping overhand right that dropped him in the fucking corner too. But yeah, Pacquiao was starting to fight his way back in, and then he got caught with that.
And he took a nice
blast
a nice little nap.
Yo, you know, like the world stood still in that moment, you know, like you could just hear a pin drop. Like everybody was just like it was just one of those things, you know, you could not believe what you just witnessed. But the point of the story is, whereas most fighters would retire, dude,
yeah,
that is practically the hardest type of knockout you could experience.
Yeah, like he wasn't moving,
dude.
After he was just
that was no different than if someone took a Louisville Slugger to your fucking head.
Yeah,
you're out hard, ugly, and the fact that Pacquiao, that fight is perhaps, gosh, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago. I can't believe how fast time is flying, you know. But since then, that little bastard came back, you know, and he just kept on fighting and winning against the top. You know, he fought this guy, Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is at the very top. You know, he is at the top. And Pacquiao beat him like straight, legit, outworked him, out-hustled him, way older than him, way past his prime. And he still beat him. Like, that is extraordinary. Pacquiao is just, man, I have so much admiration for him. You know, I have very few heroes in my life, you know, and as I realized it at that moment, Pacquiao's definitely one of my heroes. Definitely.
And I can see why. That makes total sense. And I wanted to actually ask you, because you're like a huge boxing fan, you're talking about all this, right? What do you think of like where you see boxing going right now? I don't know if you saw recently like all these like YouTubers and celebrities that are trying to do boxing now. You know, Mayweather took that fight with
Logan Paul.
Like,
yeah, but they quickly realized there was nothing there.
Yeah, you saw that they pulled back. And,
yeah, I mean, it's an exhibition fight.
Yeah.
What are we doing? You
know like that Mike Tyson fight.
You know, if you're Tyson and Jones, you could pull it off because it's Roy Jones and it's Mike Tyson.
Did you see the previous fight with the basketball player Nate Robinson? Did you see that?
Well, that's the fight. That's the fight that made Jake Paul famous. Because
terrible. He looked terrible.
Listen, when you're fighting someone who has no idea what they're doing versus someone who's really been actually doing it for a couple of years, those couple of years are going to show through. Especially if you actually got a little talent for it as well. And Jake, I recognized that he had talent for it in that first show they did where Logan Paul fought in the main event against KSI or
something like right? KSI.
Yeah, and Jake fought on the fight previous, on the undercard. When I seen those two fighters that night, I was like, wow, Jake looks like he's got some talent, and he seemed more about it. Like, I really want to fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to Logan, who's about it, but more for the show and the hype of it. But I'm not really a killer, Yeah. Whereas Jake, all right, if we're going to do it, let's go. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's the kind of grit that it takes, to be a fighter. So, I recognize that. And, the kid does have some talent for it.
Also, too, he hasn't really fought a real boxer.
No.
I think that's why it's hard to, you can train all you want, but once you fight a guy that has, you
got to get hit, right?
No, has he been hit? I don't think he has. I don't think he hasn't truly been tested, okay?
Yeah.
And mostly, I'd pat him on the back. Because it's brilliant. Yeah. What they've done and been able to manifest for themselves is just nothing short of
to even make an event out of anything.
It's a virtuoso performance, and the Robinson spectacle just is what put the bow on the fucking gift basket.
He's fighting
Ben Askren,
dude.
Ben Askren.
I was like, oh my god.
No, not oh my god.
He's a wrestler, but I saw his striking. It's like oof, like
pathetic.
Yeah.
Well, look,
it goes pretty bad.
This is just as much show business as it is boxing. It's if anything, it's more show business than boxing. But what you really got to appreciate about it is more the brilliance of the strategy, of the thinking, Well, I'm not a pro, okay? I'm not trying to go pro. I'm not trying to devote my life to boxing, but I'm not bad at it. I'm pretty famous. I know how to rile people up and piss people off enough to trick them to come into the fucking ring.
No.
And I don't give a fuck if I get my ass kicked. Look at all the attention and money it's going to bring. Yeah. So even if he gets his ass kicked, it's still a fucking win. You know what I mean? But let's take it a step further and call out key figures that we could actually have a good shot at beating. This guy Askren, world champion for many years, world-class athlete, Olympic athlete, but never threw a punch, And, they put out that one video on YouTube where they showed all the times that he did throw, but he's like, I don't know what the fuck he was doing.
Or something.
Yeah.
The half-ass spin.
But there is a very key factor that makes this fight extremely interesting, if not fascinating. And that's going to be, Will Askren's world-class discipline and experience as a real fighter, because he fought real fights.
Yeah.
But he just had like a hip surgery, so I don't know if that's going to play.
Well, that's true, but that's been a while. He's well rested.
So.
Hopefully. Well, and not to be mistaken, that hip issue would be more of a factor against him if it was a full MMA fight, where he might take a kick or he would have to do some ground fighting.
Yeah.
But in this case, he's not worrying about all that other stuff. It's standing and throwing punches.
I think his best bet is just trying to put his weight on him when he grabs and put his weight, kind of what Fury did to Wilder.
Well,
trying to like just wear down his body a little bit.
I shouldn't say this because I don't want to help Jake, but you may be letting the cat out of the bottle here because that's most likely very much part of the plan. Here's what those of us in the know think. We think that Askren's key to success is to drag it. It's an 8-round fight. Mm-hmm. So take that shit past a fourth and let's see him gas. And let's see what Jake's got, because I'll tell you, Jake's a husky kid. Yeah. Let me tell you something about huskiness. That shit gets heavy. It'll wear you the fuck out. You know?
And he's going to be eager. He's going to want to knock him out. He's young.
Hell yeah.
Once he sees that he's throwing his hardest and it's not working.
And also if Ben can just grab him, put his weight on him a little bit, like just get him a little tired. Get him a little tired, and then you can try to get a...
It's interesting because like that one's still happening. But I was telling Joshua, I think with the Mayweather thing, I think that...
With Logan Paul?
Because now it's not happening. Now they say it's delayed. I don't think it's happening at all.
No, that got shut down.
I have a feeling. I think Mayweather wasn't in shape anymore.
I don't think he was ready.
I feel like they didn't want to do the risk.
Mayweather.
He has everything to lose.
Mayweather doesn't even have to do a day of exercise for that shit. Are you kidding me? Mayweather could just step into the ring at any fucking moment and just do that. But no, there's not enough listen, if you're not allowed to knock out your opponent, who the fuck wants to see it? You know, They sold that with Tyson and Jones, which, funny enough, nobody knew that aspect of it until just prior to the fight. You know, like I follow this shit, and even I didn't catch on to those finer details of the reality of the fight, that it's going to be an exhibition, no judges and no knockouts. What the fuck are we doing? You know, that's to me as silly as when they were talking, then they were getting really close of making the Mayweather fight against McGregor in the MMA, in the Octagon, in the UFC. Oh, yeah. That's not smart. And then when they came out with the rules,
it's like, what's the point?
The modified rules were no elbows, no kicks, no wrestling, only punching.
It's another boxing fight.
We're boxing. What the fuck, man? You know, and immediately
were the same rules applied for the Mayweather Logan Paul? Were there rules applied for that?
Well, Mayweather Logan Paul is boxing.
So but what was it that? Why do you think it got?
Well, because because it's an exhibition where nobody's allowed to knock out anybody.
So you think that was what it?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, people are gonna pay to watch a pity pat sparring match for 8 rounds where these guys are going to dance around and play fucking games.
No, but also the just like the weight difference is just so. I was like, because like look, even though Logan Paul, like he has like compared to Mayweather, it's like no training compared to Mayweather.
Sure, of course.
But all it takes is just that one lucky hit out of nowhere.
Yeah, but again, knockouts aren't allowed. You know, you're not allowed to go after a knockout. So what are we doing?
Yeah, how does that even work?
And listen, not to mention, Mayweather can go in there with both hands tied behind his back without a day of training at all. And Paul's still never going to touch him. He'll never. I will give credit where credit's due. Mayweather is this era's greatest defensive boxer. Mm-hmm.
Well, he
hands down.
He changed boxing because look at he fought Canelo. Canelo changed his style to Mayweather, kind of like.
That's an unfortunate fight. That should have never happened, in my opinion. I wish.
Well, I think it was good for him because after he lost to Mayweather, he kind of like. I feel like he kind of.
Dude, you know what? You can look at it in a million different ways, and there's no right or wrong way to look at it. For me, Canelo just fell, prime right into a typical Mayweather setup. Mayweather very intelligently, handpicked Canelo at that period of time. Not that he knew how Canelo might progress as years would go, but at that period of time, Canelo was building a good name for himself. The biggest problem that Mayweather had in selecting his fighters was that they gotta have enough of a name recognition. enough of a good-looking record to appear as a worthy opponent, even though
they already know the outcome.
If Mayweather was picking you, it's because you were already beat. It was just that simple. And I knew that. You know, when he picked Canelo, the first thing I said was, Canelo's an idiot if he takes that fight. But, you know, every fighter thinks he can win, especially at that point, Canelo was still undefeated. Yeah. So, of course, you know,
And money.
Money, but you know, Canelo's more about his legacy in wanting to prove to the boxing world that he's not just a pretty face with a padded record, that he's a real gritty fighter, you know? And it's one thing I've always seen in him, you know, I've always felt it in his character. The dude's very serious about his fight style, his fight game. You know, he's always been very serious on priding himself on, I don't say no to nothing. You know, you want to go, let's go. You know,
he's got that discipline, right?
He's got that discipline, but he's got a real chip on his shoulder that he's just, I want to make sure the world fucking knows that I'm a real fighter. I'm not just a pretty boy De La Hoya project that he you know pumped up and made look good, but wasn't real. I'm legit.
You can see it. I mean, we saw his latest fight. It's just like, man, he's
against the Turkish kid. Yeah, he made it look easy. Yeah. I'll tell you where he impressed me was the fight before then when he fought this guy Callum Smith. I had my eye on Callum Smith for a while. Undefeated fighter, tall guy, really good fighter. And that was a fight I wouldn't have bet on. I didn't bet on because I had that much respect for Smith, man. I was like, fuck, man, Smith might... If anyone might give him the first loss since Mayweather, it might be Smith. And man, Mayweather just put him in his lunchbox, you know, boxed him up, put him away. Man, great job.
Yeah,
great job.
I love his character too. You know,
and his footwork is amazing. His head movement. Like he knows what's coming, and like he just like, oh, okay. Like,
it's ridiculous.
It's not even fair.
It's something that I've seen developing over the years in Canelo. One of my favorite Canelo fights was when he fought the first Triple G fight, and Triple G chased him like a mad dog from corner to corner. And I mean, every time Canelo got in the corner, I'm here, and Triple G would be right in his face. And Triple G will come in and throw a flurry. Nothing would touch him. Nothing. And it was beautiful to watch. It was beautiful.
He has good power, but his head movement, his footwork is...
That is sadly the one defect in his fighting. There's fighters like the great Felix Tito Trinidad, you know, from the 90s, early 2000s. Trinidad was a skinny kid, man. Not a shred of muscle on him. But he had that magic touch. He wouldn't even have to touch you, and his opponents were already doing the stanky leg. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people just have that magical leverage in their punch where it's got Wilder. It's got nothing to do with how muscular you are. It is just pure leverage and the beauty of how that person generates that.
Wilder, like, no technique, but don't worry, his two is going to save him.
How funny that his name is Wilder, because he does have this completely wild style of fighting. It's almost very street fighting.
Like he has no technique. He has no technique. But again, what's saying is his two. His power is crazy.
A lot of fighters, when they're fighting him, they're winning, and it's just that one mistake.
Ortiz. Ortiz.
Man,
he had him twice.
Both fights were really...
I was like, come on, Ortiz, like, you can win it, but just...
It's that one mistake.
Little opening.
Incredible.
That little opening, and then Tyson Fury came in.
And the one that figured it out, Tyson Fury.
And Wilder was losing the second fight on points against Ortiz.
Oh, yeah.
Ortiz was winning the rounds, you know? And
that one misstep. Yeah. And I never, like, after that fight, he was so mad on himself because he had him.
That's frustrating.
That's so frustrating twice.
Now you're just reminding me of last week's fights where this one fighter was doing good and he was winning, and then he just took a shit and dropped the ball, and next thing you know, he's losing. You know, like can't remember who that
was. It in UFC or
UFC? Yeah, UFC.
Was it the guy who did that illegal knee kick?
Don't even bring that up because I might just have to punch this. You know, like that was my guy, and he ruined our freaking night that night because we were winning every fight that we called. Every fight. How do you first, bro? You could do a whole show on that night, on that fight in itself. Because
the one problem I have with the UFC is that, like,
I got a lot of problems with the UFC.
The one thing I like about boxing, like to watch, like go on Dazzn, $20, you watch the fight. The problem with UFC, it's like it's every like Saturday, it's like $80. $80. Like it's always like
you're talking
like
about the pay-per-views?
Yeah, I feel like it's too many like pay-per-views.
No. Let me tell you something. First of all, if Dana White were to ever see this, like, another one of the name of our possible podcast shows would be if you don't know, now you know, it's the We Want to Meet Dana White podcast because he's Uncle Dana. For me, I've been watching UFC since the very first show. I'm proud to say that. Not that means I'm old because I ain't. But the point is that Dana kept me alive throughout the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah, he fought. He
had the balls to go through the fire of all the fucking hate that everyone jumped on the bandwagon. Oh, you're crazy.
He made that video too.
And good for him. Yeah. Good for him. I watched this podcast with Big John McCarthy and this kid and this partner who's an ex-fighter, Josh Thompson. McCarthy was in his feelings about he was chopping up Dana because Dana made that video where it was kind of like the big fuck you to all you naysayers who told me not to do it. We did it and we killed it, and it was the greatest thing we ever did. Good for him. He had every right to do that.
What's cool is that Fight Island. That Fight Island.
Listen,
dude, that shit's cool.
You got to think outside the box sometimes, and Dana is just, he's an incredible person because where there's a will, there's a way, and he fucking didn't stop until he found a way, and he made it happen. Not just made it happen, but he made it happen to the tune of every weekend he gave us a show. Yeah. And when we're not boxing, we're not baseball and basketball fanatics, which there was always baseball and basketball and football, all we got is our fight game that we like. Dana gave it to us. He found a way to keep it going for us. And not only did he find a way to do that, but he found a way to do it almost every weekend, constantly. And you know what? That was life for us fight fans, And for all the fucking stupid ass douchebags, forgive my language, but you deserve it, that want to get out there with their whole fucking rights. Oh, it's wrong. And you don't care about the fighters. And you just care about the... Go fuck yourself.
He's paying people so they can feed their families. And
he never had to fire anybody. No. They never had to let go of people due to a lack of work. Nobody put a gun to any fighter's head to fight. Yeah. Everybody who wanted to fight fought because they wanted to fight.
No.
And now, at this point, after the fact, everyone's grateful to him, And he did that. He took that challenge on his own. Yeah. And it's just one of the many reasons why I love the shit out of Dana White. Like, one of our dreams with my kid is for us to fucking someday be able to meet him and hang with him for a weekend, man.
Oh my God,
man. I'd love to work for the UFC, man. I'd be happier than a kid and shit.
If they're watching this, you never know, man.
You never know. You never know. I mean, hell, I've supported the UFC my whole fucking life since it's been on.
Have you seen his office? Dana White's office? There's a video on YouTube. He gave a tour of his office in Vegas. It's incredible.
No, I seen the tour of his room where he stayed at in Abu Dhabi.
There's a whole tour of his office. If you see his office,
it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's exactly what you'd picture Dana White's office to be like. I mean, it's incredible. It's a badass office.
Yeah, it's funny because I just seen this morning I was watching him on Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson. and Zab Judah, and he was talking about his office, how he's got a gym in his office and all this and that. You know, he loves what he does. He just loves what he does. You know, the haters and the naysayers, you know, they'll never have a problem finding something to be negative about.
Yeah.
You know, but those are people who just hate their own fucking miserable lives. Yeah. Because the truth is, they don't know what it's like to love what you do. You know, like we love what we're doing right now. This is what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? It is natural for us, you know? And Dana working 6 to 7 days a week, he's talking about how I'm always working, you know? But it's as they say, when what you do is what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, you know, the guy works long ass freaking hours and days, but he loves it. You know, it's not only about money, but then there is that reality where, you know what, we've created a giant monster that has to stay getting fed now or else, you know? And when you consider the hundreds, I don't know how many employees he has, but maybe not the thousands, but I'd say hundreds of people behind the operations to run all this. That's a lot of mouths depending on the success of that empire to keep rolling forward, man. So bravo, Dana. Bravo.
I mean, you know, it's adapt or die, literally. Huh? Like, it's adapt or die. Like, you gotta figure it out.
And that's a great anecdote for life. You're always constantly adapting, because sadly, the hard times are never going to stop coming.
Yeah, no.
You know, even if you want to play it as safe as possible, a fucking plane will land on you. Something. No. That's life. You know, sadly, even at my age, the hits don't stop. You know, it's always one thing after another. I remember, I won't say who, I got this great book, and I think it's called The 64 Most Interesting People in the World, you know? Okay. I probably got that book like 10 years ago, you know, and it's got all kinds of celebrities, actors, athletes, you know, financially successful individuals and whatnot. And everybody gets a page, and they're interviewed. And basically, the book's put together from Esquire magazine over the years of interviewing all these different people. And so it's just one page from every interview of that individual. In any event, the one particular guy that we're talking about, he's a hero of mine, probably my greatest hero. At the time of that interview, he had to be mid to late 60s, you know, a billionaire. And he makes a comment in regards to, you know, you have to welcome the bad times, the hard times, because sometimes it's good to go through the fire, you know, and because if you never do, then you'll never be ready for what's next. You know, you're never going to be strong enough for the reality of what's heading your way, because it's everything's coming our way, you know, especially now more than ever. And I would imagine that at that stage of his life, when he was saying that, you know, I'm sure you would imagine when you are in your late 60s and you are super successful.
No.
You would imagine that all your hard times are way behind you. You know, you've been through your battles, your hard downs, your tremendous hits, and you've dragged yourself back up and rebuilt yourself, and you've succeeded. Dude, who wouldn't imagine that, at this point I could say, embrace the fire, because I don't got to worry about that no more. And then lo and behold, his hardest fires came after. And he fucking survived it like the ultimate warrior. You know, like that. For me, there's Pacquiao, there's Dana White, and then there's him. You know, period. You know, that's it. Because nobody proved it and showed it more than that person, you know. But the point being that you would think that your hard time, just when you think your hard times may be behind you, man, you have no clue what's coming.
I feel like it doesn't even matter what age you are anymore. It's just you're always kind of just figuring it out as you go.
Oh no,
you know?
of course.
Like
but the bigger point is that, bro, in your late 60s, you're a billionaire,
and you still gotta.
I'm sure if someone said to you, "Hey, man, you think you got any more hard times ahead?" and you're like, "Nah, I'm good."
And then
all of a sudden, boom, the world fucking drops on you. You're like,
man.
dude, that's life.
It's unpredictable.
It's unpredictable.
I actually wanted to ask you because, you're a tattoo artist. You run your own shop and everything, right? So, like, you're a huge boxing fan. You said you wanted to be a boxer when you were younger and stuff.
I remember.
So, like, how did that, like, come into play? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I tell you, it's, I hate to admit, when you get on in your years and you grew up, you will carry the regrets of the things you didn't try, Whenever I watch the fight sports, I do feel a little twinge of pain and regret because I'm like, I know I could have been good at that, but that's life, as you go forward through your life, from, teenage years to your 20s and 30s, each subject will come up, and I remember when I was turning 18 and you got to sign up for the service. It's like mandatory. I don't know if that's still mandatory anymore, but in any event, that was when the whole idea of maybe joining, something military like the Army or the Marines. Right. And I was always a rugged kid, I always liked doing everything physical and challenging. And, we were always like bouncing off the walls. And, I had a best friend and, we were into everything ninja, everything martial arts. And we would always, man, we would just beat the crap out of one another. And we loved it, man. Like that was our shit. And so, when that whole... I don't know if that happens to everybody. If everybody goes through a stage of life where they go through this period where, the military, is that something I want to join? Do I want to enlist in some military branch? But it came up for me for a period there, and I became very close to the idea. And for me, the whole interest was to, I'll join the Marines to learn how to become a pro boxer, and go forward into boxing. This is way before MMA,
Right.
And that was one of the pivotal moments in my life where I had to make a hard choice of, well, do I want to go the hardest route possible and be a real fighter in life? Or do I want to take the other road, which is a lot softer and easier of being an artist? Because I was just as much in love with drawing and art as I had grown up in it. From the age of 5, I can remember my very first experience of how and why I got triggered into falling in love with art. So I had an equal desire for both. We'd always liked fighting, but I did always like drawing. And, that was the day where I was like, I'm a bit of a softie and I don't think I'm the fastest guy. I took a few beatings. I didn't like that punch in the nose. And at one time I ducked into, I ate a fucking uppercut and I was spitting my teeth out, man. That shit wasn't fun at all, man. I felt like the world's biggest idiot. One day, me and my buddy, well, let's go outside and spar, We put the gloves on. We had everything, and we're like, all right, just go easy. And the first fucking thing I do was he goes like this, and I go, oh, that's a good idea. And I had no mouthpiece. And I just felt like I had a mouthful of sand. It just felt like sand all over the inside of my mouth. I felt like, oh, shit. Yeah, my mom whooped my ass. Because we had to get them shits fixed.
Yeah. Somebody's got to fix that. Yeah.
But, so, I have to admit it wasn't a hard choice to make. I chose the road of art. And I'm glad I did. you know, because I like to live a very comfortable, pain-free life. And that's the thing about the fighter's life, man. You know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's one side of it, and that's how it goes, very much so. And then there's the harder side of it, that if that's what you're going to do, and you're the kind of person who is really about what you say you're going to do, then you're going to live the fighter's life. And bro, living the fighter's life is living a life that I like pain. Yeah. You know, you're that guy. You're that guy. You know, whatever's going on, I'm good. You know, did I just take a shot to the head? I'm good. Because I live with pain. That's a fighter's life, you know? Kind of, not to get out of the subject, but the reason why McGregor lost to Poirier, because Poirier had been living solid, consistently, the real fighter's life, getting forged by the fire. Whereas McGregor, over the years, just kept falling further and further away with these longer hiatuses from fighting. And bro, I'm sorry, you know, when you're living a millionaire's lifestyle,
it's different.
Completely to the hilt, bro, it's different. You're no longer living in the world of pain anymore that you have to be in to be ready for the fighter's life. And so I think that had a lot to do with it. It's just my opinion. But in any event, so that was tough, because I see things all the time. Oh man, I would have killed that, you know, or I wish I could be a coach, you know, because I see things all the time. Like my son will tell you, if we were ever to get on here with him one day, he'll tell you about how that leg kick, I've been hating on that kick for years. And I've always been saying that if I was a pro fighter, no one would ever want to fight me, because the only thing I would ever do was I would decapitate everyone's fucking leg, because it's within the rules, you know? And I've just always, bro, like, I just see it as the easiest thing in the world to get away with kicking you fucking below the knee. You know what I'm saying? So I would have probably been a Khabib undefeated fighter, because I would have just taken out everyone's lead leg. Everybody.
In some alternate reality where if you had chosen...
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So, you know, I've been calling out the effectiveness of that leg forever. And now all everybody can talk about is, the low leg kick. You know, all of a sudden, now everybody wants to master the low leg kick. Everybody wants to use the low leg kick. Oh, yeah, that's the kick. You know, like for the last 10 years, I've been talking about the low leg kick. Like, that's the easiest cheat move. Like, that's not cheating. You can get away with that, bro. It's a fucking no-brainer all day, you know? But then you're making me also go into the details that I hate about the UFC. A foot stomp and fucking kicking you in the kneecap. Come on. You know? Like, who the fuck can't kick you in a fucking kneecap? You know what I'm saying? And a foot stomp, like, dude, if you're going to have kicks like that to be fair game, you know, not cheating, you might as well have kicking in the nuts and fucking headbutts. It's the truth, man, because that's just cheap shit, man. You know, I want to see a competition of skill. I don't think you're going to be a black belt by black belt kick, you know, foot stomp, you know. And also, we're here to compete. You know, we're here to compete, to win to beat one another. But I don't want to destroy your ability to continue fighting by shattering your fucking kneecap with this fancy fucking knee kick. Yeah. You know what I mean? And many fighters have lost a lot of time out of their career. Stephen Thompson, when he fought Darren Till kicked the shit out of his fucking knees so that he couldn't do the fancy Taekwondo kicking. Thompson was out of fighting for a long time, like over a year or more, recuperating from that shit. And then talk about karma. I don't remember who Darren Till fought, but he fought someone to kick the shit out of his fucking knees and fucked his knees good. And he had to stay out of the game for a long time, because I remember seeing both of them say it, you know, in interviews. So it's just those things. I mean, can you imagine a huge high profile fight. Let's say Conor McGregor in the trilogy fight with Poirier, and McGregor comes out and delivers a shot to Poirier's kneecap, and the fight's over in the first round, and people paid $80 for this pay-per-view to see this long-awaited trilogy main event, and it ends in the first 20 seconds because he destroyed the other guy's kneecap.
That's terrible.
His career's over.
That's like
the main event just got ruined, and then only then will people say, that fucking knee kick is bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, am I making any sense or am I full of it?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. It's the same thing with the foot stomp. One day you're going to see a championship fight and one guy's going to foot stomp the other and shatter his fucking toes.
And he's done.
Dude, you're done. You lost from a foot stomp? Like, how anticlimactic. What a way to ruin a great, what would have been a great competitive tournament, Yeah. So for me, those two moves right there are just everything else I'm good with. The leg kick, all right, it's a kick. You're not aiming at someone's kneecap,
Yeah, that's a whole different that's a whole different ball game.
John Jones, I think he's the GOAT. There's this huge debate in MMA right now. After Khabib retired, they called Khabib the GOAT. And then John Jones chimed in with, whoa. Y'all need to slow down a bit because I'm the real GOAT. And he's got every reason to say it. He's been in the game a long time. He has beaten name after name after name and faced every single one of them and mopped all of them. Like, my hat's off to you. But like Mayweather, where I'll acknowledge your greatness, I'm still going to hate on a couple of things. John Jones does foot stomps and he does these fucking knee kicks.
Ugh.
And he does this thing where he keeps his hand like right here with his fingers out. Those are that's dirt. You know what I'm saying? Beat me with your skill.
Didn't he like poke a guy once?
Yeah, he's had quite a few eye pokes.
Didn't he get caught with like substances or something like that?
He got busted more than once.
More than once?
No, like bad. Like he had to like get back his belt, I think, right?
Right, after he beat Daniel Cormier in the second fight where he took him out with a head kick, he got popped for banned PEDs, So there goes that.
That hurts the image.
And yeah, man, like, for a real fight nut like me, it's hard to comprehend that because I'm an avid, I'm a athletic addict. Like to this day I still play ball and I play to kill. But the whole purpose for me to play against you is to beat you fair and square so that I can say I'm the better player.
Yeah.
So I know I beat you. I could get away with cheating all day long, but then it defeats the fucking purpose.
Yeah.
But in this case, unfortunately, I guess there's lots of money involved. So I guess people will unfortunately play.
Some people don't care.
Extra, edge to win.
Yeah, but
some people don't care about
But it's crazy though because you're gonna get tested.
You're
not gonna. Lance Armstrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy,
dude.
You just your whole career.
Yeah,
and it was crazy, because I think there was a documentary on Netflix.
Yeah,
and they did some crazy stuff to do.
Man, documentaries. I'm too dubious about documentaries anymore. I don't care where the fuck they're at, Netflix or Hulu or wherever, because everything's about who's making that documentary. And as I've been taught in the ugliest way possible, everything today is manipulated to benefit one side while it, denigrates another.
Yeah, for sure.
And today's media masters are magicians at manipulating anything.
Yeah, they can get a 5-minute video and just show you 30 seconds of that video and make it a whole other story.
Yeah, I was about to say, you know, one analogy I always use is like, you guys could be world famous YouTubers, and you guys can go out and feed the homeless every weekend, and I can take the video footage of you guys feeding the homeless every weekend, and I could turn it into you guys taking food from the homeless every weekend, and just completely annihilate your character, you know, just like that, because that's now the world we are. This is the truth of everything now. You know, nobody is safe anymore. You know, with the reality of the social media life now in full roar. It's over. You know, social media is now more of a devastating devil that's just going to eat forever, you know, because everyone's always going to use it to destroy everyone, period. You know, the new woke cancel fucking bullshit culture that we're in, everyone's a part of it. Everyone, whether you like it or not, you, me, we're all a part of it, you know? Whereas the people on the other side that I disagree with are trying to destroy this company's reputation and business by boycotting it because they might be on that side of the fence. I'll do the same to businesses on their side of the fence. So we're all part of the same double-sided blade, you know, but in the end, no one's going to win. No one's going to win, you know? I try not to pay any more attention to current events anymore because of just how disgusting it all is, because everything's a fucking lie. It's all the hypocrisy now. But unfortunately for me, I still come across snippets of stories here and there of, you know, innocent people whose lives just got obliterated over an accusation that was a fucking lie, you know, just because you're giving certain groups of people so much fucking power now. So everyone's on alert. And if you're not smart enough to know that and be able to get your mind around starting to think that way, then you're going to be a victim of it.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like that. And it's a fucking shit show, you know, and the only people we have to blame is our fucking government. You know?
Social media is used, basically, it's a weapon at this point. Social media, you can use it to literally expose or use it against anyone. Like we were talking about, things out of context, or how do we take this person down? How do we take that person down? Or like the example you gave about the homeless person and you're giving them food. It's crazy. You know what I mean? And it's true. Like you never really know what's biased or not. Everything's biased, I guess. Everything is biased. You know what I mean? And we saw recently, we saw 2 documentaries that we talked about here on the podcast. It was that Social Dilemma documentary about what goes into these big tech companies, how they make these apps like Instagram, Twitter, I believe like Pinterest and stuff. What goes behind that and the amount of information they get from you, where it's insane. It's extremely intrusive.
I remember watching, I think one of the last documentaries I ever watched was this one that was, I can't remember the freaking name of it, but it's this dude that ran a graphic design company, and he got the idea to want to know what's being done with all of his digital information from social media. And he somehow started tracking it on who's taking possession of it, what they're doing to it. This led to a company in Europe, I think, called Cambridge Analytica. And then it gets to the real point of the movie, which is all about burning down a certain someone we're not going to mention. But because it started exposing how this political group purchased the services of this company to use their data, you know? And that's when they were speaking about how I think oil, natural resources used to be the greatest financial thing that you can get involved with. But now the purchasing and selling of information has now surpassed everything.
Yeah, that's exactly what the documentary talks about, how they don't pay, like these advertisers that are trying to get in the platform, they're not paying for the platform, they're paying for you, like the person that's going on that platform. If we happen to jump on another app, those companies are just moving, they're just trying to buy your information, and they literally track, I mean, how long you're looking at a post, who you're searching up, how long you're looking at their picture, if you liked it. If they see you're not on for a certain amount of time, they, you know.
And to me, what's even scarier about that is the inevitable direction of it, in the sense that we're still in the early stages of these things, and they're only going to continue getting more sophisticated, so much to where it's going to get to a point to where there will be developed programs that, let's say, no more than 10 years from now, you might be running for president. Very possibly so. You may become a huge hit, and a political party may recognize the value in your personality, and then by that point in time, those of us on the opposing side of you, we could just utilize this one program that will instantly collect all of your
search history,
all of your activity in the digital atmosphere from today, every single day, on every single app and every single text message and every single phone you've had in its entirety, like an open and shut folder that has everything that you've said and done. And much the same way how today, for example, sadly, one of my favorite shows used to be Ink Master, and I'll never watch it again because it was about these three judges. And I think like last year, a story broke about how one of the judges, they fired him in the off season because it turns out that for some reason, somehow, somebody went, do you remember MySpace?
Oh my God, yeah.
How many years back does MySpace go?
I mean, I was in elementary school. I'm 24 now, so.
Long time.
Yeah.
Somebody went back to his MySpace days.
I didn't even know that was still, is it still running?
I guess.
That's crazy.
Because somebody unearthed some Halloween pictures where he was dressed up a certain way. You're done. End of story. You know.
That's crazy.
And these things mean nothing. But what it does show you is that we got enemies where you don't even imagine. And they will go to those lengths to destroy you. And that's now. Imagine 10 more years from now.
When there's more information.
How much more sophisticated and easier it's going to become to really, get every single scrap of data from every hour of your life for the past 20, 30 years.
They said it. They say in the documentary, one of the executives, he worked with Facebook and then Pinterest and stuff. He thinks that inevitably, if we don't change these social media, if we don't have like some sort of regulation on them or something, like it's going to lead to a civil war. Dude, with the constant division and
it's over.
No, yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's over. When I was younger, watching the Terminator movies and the Matrix movies, all these doomsday scenario movies, those movies left me like scared, like they should to anyone. And then in my own rationale, I would think to myself, oh, well, but I guess part of the purpose for making these movies is more for the purpose of helping humanity, avoid that wrong turn.
Yeah.
Avoid that wrong turn, motherfucker. We went faster into it. It's like, oh, those are some good directions. Let's go in that direction.
And funnily enough, they mention how, how everybody says, oh, AI is going to take over the world. AI is going to be like what ruins us. But they were saying how we think of AI like what you're saying, like this Terminator that's gonna like shoot us all. But in reality, it's this AI that's in our phones. It's in our computers.
Well, yeah.
It's interesting because it's the exact point that you're making of how that we don't think of it that way, but that's exactly what it is. Either it's gonna cause us to just hate each other even more, which it is. It divides us even more.
And I think there's one thing too that I think we have to pay more attention to is those deepfakes.
The what?
It's called
those deepfake videos. Deepfakes. Have you seen those?
So basically, what it is like, I can get your face and I can put Tom Cruise, and you're Tom Cruise now, and that's a big thing because it's like with computers and it's a you know how they.
I've seen that. I've seen it. I remember seeing. I think the comedian Bill Hader. He does impressions.
Yeah.
And I think he was on different. They had clips of him on different talk shows.
And
he would start impressing. Like he'd impress Pacino, and all of a sudden you see the eyebrows become like Al Pacino and shit, like different factions.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think we should like talk more about because that's dangerous. Because let's say you want to be the president and you want like say like we're going to war with this country,
right?
Because I've seen videos of people that did of Trump or whatever, and it was like, wait, is that real or fake? And you can't even tell.
Yeah, you can like basically digitally you can morph that person's face.
I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Crazy.
That story went by my radar probably in the second or third year of Trump. Where this one guy with a YouTube channel brought light to it. Mark Dice, he's awesome, fucking great guy. Does some really good shit, and the media likes to completely diminish the validity of YouTubers because they're not professional,
right?
But they're more honest and real than any mainstream media will ever be.
Yeah,
which is
they're taking over mainstream media in a sense too, right?
YouTubers?
I think so.
I don't know about that yet because you see,
in the sense of views, there's some really good.
There's some, but mainstream media is a multi-headed monster, of infinite access and ability. So whereas YouTube is creating a lot of champions that are accomplishing great feats. It's still nothing in comparison to the level of capacity and ability that mainstream media has.
Just that ultimate power.
Mainstream media, it's ridiculous. If there's one thing that they've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's just how easy it is to control what you think.
Yeah.
One side of our government completely monopolized the use of mainstream media completely for one side of the government to completely assassinate anything on the opposing side. And they're undefeated. They did it. They did it without a hitch. It's just one of the many reasons why Trump never had a fucking chance, because it's one man against the ocean.
No.
You might be incredible and great and powerful and unbelievably courageous, but at the end of the day, you're still one person. Trump was the first president I ever seen in my lifetime without a party. The only time his party had his back is when there was benefits from them, for them, know. But the reality is, from the beginning, he was completely on his own, and he was always outnumbered. And yet that guy never backed down, never stopped trying. And he's the epitome of the American dream, because the simplest point that you could ever make that no one can fight against is the fact that dude got off his ass and got into a horrible career path of pure mayhem and destruction when he didn't have to. He didn't have to do it. It's the most undeniable truth there is, no matter what you want to imagine about him, because you still watch the news and you didn't get the memo that the news is fucking pure bullshit and poison, That dude did something that he didn't have to do. he's the first president I ever seen who from the beginning said, I'm going to take $1 from my paycheck as president because it would be against the law for me not to accept the payment. And the rest of the $400K I'll donate to whatever charity. He did that every step of the way through, He was clearly never in it for any personal gain for himself. He went in worth $5 billion when he started, came out worth less than $3 billion when he ended. You know what I'm saying? Mm. There were no personal gains here, no points of selfishness at all. The guy did it because, I could be wrong, but I believe he did it because as he's in his, later years in life, as incredibly strong as he is, I mean, the fact that guy became president at 72 and had the amazing tenacity and courage and strength and energy that he had to survive everything that he was hit with. He just wanted to do the best he could for the world that gave him and his family so much for his entire life that, that's why he was there to put our interests ahead of anyone else's interests, because in life, you got to be capable of making the hard call, and the hard call is, yeah, sure. Who doesn't want to save the world? Who doesn't want to end starvation and pain? But the hard call is that at the end of the day, if you have to choose between saving your brother's life or giving the last piece of food to some stranger because you're trying to be a good guy, you're going to save your brother's life, Yeah. And in the eyes of the world, you might be seen as a bad person for doing so. But the reality is, that's the hard call in understanding that not even Superman could save all the people all the time. That's the reality of the hard call. And that's why America was always America forever, up until the corruption reached a level that none of us really understood that it was really at.
No.
But he did. He did. He's seen it. He was the first guy opposing Obama when he became president. And that was when he put himself on the wrong radar, because nobody else would dare, denigrate the great golden angel Obama's name, especially back in his peak of popularity.
Yeah.
But I remember he was the only one bitching and moaning. But you see, I believe that he was doing that because when you're on that tax bracket, on that income level, we can't comprehend what that is. We may most likely never be able to comprehend what that's like. We're mere mortals, and that 1%, $100 million, $1 billion level of people, they're way up there. I'm not saying that they're better than us. I'm just saying that their minds work on a different level. No. You know what I'm saying? Their egos are on different levels and all of the above, man. And so when he was hating on Obama, it was because he's at the level where he can see what they're doing. Whereas we're down here, man. We got no fucking clue. The only clue we get is from whatever the media wants to rain down on us with info of whatever bullshit they want to make it appear to be. It's the art of taking half of the truth and just spinning it all day long in any direction they want. It's pure insanity. But, he's seen it. He knew what was going on, just the same way that when it was time for him to sit down with the Chinese, it was time to deal with the Chinese back when he was still president. That was an awesome experience, because I remember watching all that go down. And when he finally sat with them and he said, it's time to pay, and they're like, yeah, he's like, y'all been killing it. You guys have been getting away with highway robbery for years. I'm here now. We're going to have to do real business. Real business is you give me something that's worth what I'm giving you, and they could not argue with him because That's just how outrageously crazy they were getting away with the better end of the business between their country and ours. And the only reason for that was because all of our politicians were selling us the fuck out the whole fucking time, you know? Hey man, look the other way, sign the bills so it's business as usual, and your charity will get, you know, this amount of money every month. Why the fuck not? You know what I'm saying? What? I'm going to get $100,000 a month for doing, just to count me in. I probably would have done it too. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to say no to money, you know, but at the end of the day, everything has a consequence, you know, and he did that, man, you know, and he stood up to them, and that was the first time in their economic financial history where their speeding bullet train actually slowed down. And when you look at things in the scope of what that actually means, you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, you know, slowing down. That means hundreds of billions of dollars in income is being lost. Mm-hmm. And when that kind of money starts getting impacted, shit be happening. You know, you will get a fucking target on your head. Who's slowing down the money train because there's too many hands in the pot? And that's, you know, when you're at that level, you got power. You got power to make people disappear, you know?
Oh, well, yeah, that's... Yeah, I mean, look at Epstein is the perfect example.
Perfect example, dude. You know, I could go all day.
Be careful. Look, I'm seeing a little red dot. They're here.
I mean, the Epstein is a perfect example of...
Just the simple point on that story is... I'm not going to say a name of the party, but that party never flexed so clearly to the world. Hold my beer. I'm going to go shut down a maximum security fucking prison in the middle of the day. And I'm going to take out someone who is too dangerous to be allowed to live.
Yeah, he was gonna take everybody down, apparently.
That would have been a wildfire.
Yeah.
And man, that just shows you how many high-level players must have been in that dude's, you know, world that he had dirt on, that they could not allow for the risk of him to be able to live, dude. Wiped out.
But even though they have the hard drives and all that, but
it's gone.
People think they destroyed it by now.
Huh?
So people think that they destroyed those.
Dude, the FBI is just as dirty.
Yeah,
you know, the FBI is all part of the same group of people.
Yeah, because they can stop a lot of crimes before they happen, but they just let it happen.
Bro, you got to understand, at the end of the day, there's a fence, there's this side, and there's that side. And the one thing we learned is that this side is fucking savage, ruthless. We're going to get what we got to get, and we're going to steamroll right over anyone that we're going to have to steamroll. And they fucking did. Yeah. You know, they shut it down. They walked in. They whacked them. They walked out.
It was messy too. Like
nobody ever got called in or questioned about nothing.
The camera was broken. Yeah.
Look,
the guards were sleeping.
There was a 30-minute blackout, and both guards happened to be taking a nap at the same time of the day. Oh, and all the DNA evidence collected at the scene, it somehow got lost. The black book, we don't know what happened.
The hard drives. Where'd they go?
So many different elements to the autopsy, puzzle.
Right?
The autopsy.
And they're like, that's not from...
Dude. You know?
Self-strangulation.
And of course, nobody would get fingered or called in or questioned because they could not allow any room for anyone to be questioned, because if one person were to be implicated, boom, there goes the house of cards. No. So it had to be that solid. It had to be that clean cut.
I would have loved to know who was on that black book. Or the hard drives. God, I was like, please.
I've heard, I mean, an obvious one is like Bill Clinton, a lot of filmmakers, Woody Allen.
Dude, you got to understand something. This dude made his fortune off of that, and he got away
I don't
with
know how he got rich.
he got away with that.
I think it was just off blackmail, right? It must have been just off blackmail.
He blackmailed some guy, right?
Well, he was. That's what his business was. Yeah, you know, like, if you two became hot YouTubers and I was him, you know, oh, those kids are hot. Hey, send them a message, man. Yo, man, we're inviting you to this private island party. And when you come, you're like overwhelmed. And hey,
cameras on site.
Oh, yeah, but it's just for your safety. Nothing gets out. But by the way, anything from this age to that age, any drug, it's Fantasy Island. Knock yourself out. And then afterwards, you ended up in some questionable circumstances.
Eyes wide shut party.
Yeah. And then, you know, I come knock on your door one day. Hey, listen, man, you know, I don't know how this shit got out, but I got it. So don't worry about a thing. I got you.
Just give me all your money.
And then from that point on, you're in my pocket, you know, and they would just get favors every now and then when they needed it. I mean, it's way further than that, but that's the basic gist of how
big
it
names.
works.
I mean, in the Golden Globes that one year, Ricky Gervais?
Yeah, he was great.
He
shot him down good.
Everybody was like,
you know, as much as we love to regale these particular individual moments that were able to occur, it's still completely insignificant because it'll have no impact on anything. Reality is simply what it is.
What was funny was that when he mentioned his name, every celebrity and their asses clinched. They got so fucking scared.
The one question I'll always have about superstardom is, why is it that when people go from our level to that level, that their sexual preferences have to become so, you know, just
odd and weird,
bizarre.
Yeah,
but I think that's what it is. Like when you have so much money and power, you feel you can do whatever you want. And I feel like that's what they kind of like.
I talked about this with.
So, like for example, let's say you're a big time celebrity. You have all the power that you can't be touched. And you feel like
that's how you feel when you're a big time celebrity. You're living like a god.
Yeah, and you can do whatever you want, and there's no price to pay.
You know.
Yeah, I talked about that with a last guest that I had. He went on a full rant about that, and he says it's like a power high where you can just
I could see that. Of course.
What's the next thing that I've done this? What's the next thing I do where can give me that power high that I'm able to do? I can afford it.
But
I get away with it.
Isn't that the truth of life in general? You know, it's always about the next rush. You know, right now your rush is is to see about maybe this could become something awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Joe Rogan.
You know what I mean? And then once you get to that point, there's going to be another challenge, another rush, you know, like.
And it takes one offer of a lot of money, and then the next thing you know, you're not really in control anymore. And then.
Well, now you're talking about Joe Rogan and Spotify, you know, which, hey, good for him. You know, I used to like him a lot more than I do now, but you know, hey. I got no hate against anyone who gets successful doing what you do. You know, he's got my dream job. You know, he gets to commentate for the UFC, and he gets to be right there in the mix of these great moments between fighters at fights. You know, like, man, that's a dream. You know what I'm saying? And he got, you know, a super popular podcast. You know, and
he's like this ages like Howard Stern. You know, Howard Stern for like XM radio, and then for podcasting, which became the new thing. It was Joe Rogan. Like, so you're obviously like staying away from the news and everything, right? As
I mean, I stay away from it as much as possible. I'm on YouTube a lot. You know, like when I go to sleep at night, I like to watch because it's just a bunch of different things that you can always see. You know. So
are you watching any movies or shows?
I'm a show guy. I love shows. You know, but you know, I haven't found a show to watch in a while.
Have you seen Game of Thrones?
Yeah, of course.
What do you think of the final season?
You know, everybody wants to hate on it because it's just, I think, in people's nature to always want to fucking be negative. I think maybe it's because deep down they just hate the fact that the show's ending, you know? But I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody hated the way it ended. I mean, sure, it wasn't perfect. You know, I wouldn't mind to have seen Cersei get hers. You know,
definitely.
You're gonna tell me Khaleesi forgets about the Iron Fleet? Like because if you watch, it was like after the episode.
This fucker knows details good, doesn't he?
yeah. It was after the episode. The writers and they were talking about how like Dany just forgot about the Iron Fleet. Like, how the fuck?
When they get ambushed and
when the dragon dies in the ocean.
Yeah.
Right.
So their way of thinking was she forgot about him.
Well, yeah, because some bullshit went on with the storyline where, you know, she was distracted. You know, it was it was part of the strategy. Not to forget. It was just something unexpectedly occurred somewhere else that drew their attention away from that.
I think whoever who planned her battles should be beheaded because that guy did it.
I think it was Tyrion. Wasn't Tyrion her?
It was, yeah.
He
got shit for it too. He got shit for it.
Tyrion was pretty bad. Okay, guys, game plan. Zombies are coming. Let's send good 10,000 men to charge at them.
Dude, come on. You know,
it was a cool scene.
It was a cool scene.
But I mean,
logically, it doesn't
you
make
know
sense.
what? When you just
take it in. Just accept it.
When you can say that a show was great enough to bring zombies out in the fucking what era was that? What do you call that? In the Viking era?
I don't even know.
I don't know what era you call that too.
I don't even know.
Right?
Game of Thrones era.
The medieval times.
The knights and the medieval times. You know, when you can create a show that's got zombies back then, you can't lose. You can't lose, man.
It's
like
funny because.
I don't care. You put zombies in the medieval time, and it was badass.
Okay, you're gonna tell me you have a big castle, good walls. Let's have 5,000 men in front of the castle with spears. And there's like 100,000 zombies charging at you. Just put them over the wall.
It kind of relates to what you were saying about Endgame. About that scene.
Exactly.
It's like
you got to keep the story going. So there's always gonna be parts, details that you're just gonna have to skip over. You know, all right, we're just gonna get through it like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you
not gonna pay no attention to that?
Did you like Arya? Did you like Arya start killing?
Yeah. Man, the way she pulled that fucking move when she came in like that, drops the fucking dagger and catches it here.
It was cool. But logically, where the fuck did she jump from?
What do you mean? Where she came in running?
Like
she was doing the 50-yard fucking sprint, man.
Yeah,
that bitch was the Flash. What are you talking about?
She dashed by what? How many zombies would you say were around Bran?
White Walkers.
But the dude was standing by himself, you know, and he's the leader. He's the baddest of them. So why are all the rest going to worry that he can't take care of himself?
What about Jon Snow's storyline? Were you disappointed by that?
Yeah,
that was a
you know
he was a
that hurt.
They announced him as this.
The guy got fucking
stabbed, came back.
No, I mean, you know, just the way it ended, where he got thrown out like a piece of fucking garbage back to the fucking wall. Like
he comes back from the dead. They say that you are a fucking Targaryen. You have the right to the throne. They're like, all right, you can go back to the. You can go back.
Yeah, rightful heir. And the guy was confused. He was confused the whole way. He was just like a little pussy.
Well, I know I'd be confused as I'm at the end of the fucking show going to the wall. I'm fucking king, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go live like a dog without pussy for the rest of my life.
He literally went back to where he began.
Huh?
You know, he went back to where he began.
Kind of, yeah, full circle. You know,
which is
the guy
terrible.
With the best story, Bran, the motherfucker that didn't do shit. Just like go into a wolf and have sex as a wolf. That's all he did.
I mean, he was the sightseer, right? He was the one who could see through animals.
He had a
and
great
shit.
ability. I thought his story was good, but
no, he did. He was pretty useful, man. He was pretty key in certain. Huh?
What, to be a bird?
He could have helped.
Man, this guy's really you're something, ain't you?
No. That season pissed me off because it was just so many things. I was like, wait, why are they making this choice? Why is this character doing something? And the one that really got upset was we don't get the scene of Jon telling his sisters his true name, his true heritage. That to me, I was like, how are you gonna cut away from that?
Oh yeah, when he was gonna tell.
But they ended up finding out, right? Like,
and cuts them really.
What was the red-haired Stark? She was a Stark, right? Sansa. You know, Tyrion told Sansa that.
No. It was Jon Snow. Jon Snow was there with Bran, Arya, and Sansa, and he was gonna tell them all right there.
And he didn't.
it cuts away.
Yeah, like the show didn't show us their reaction.
Yeah.
Like the show just cut away.
Yeah, that's pretty annoying. That's pretty annoying.
I was like, come on, I've been waiting like how many years?
I would have liked to have seen their faces like, holy shit.
That's a big deal.
As much as Cersei, what's her death scene? The fucking building fell on the bitch.
So much hype for
she
that.
had the easiest job. You know how much she got? She got paid like $1 million each episode to stand by a window and drink wine.
Yeah, that's all she did that season too.
Like, if I ever wanted to be into Hollywood as an actor, my role that I would want is to be in a NCIS show, because that's the easiest paycheck, or to be a Cersei, to stand by a window and drink wine.
Man,
and you get paid $1 million.
That's easy money.
I'll take what I can get, but I'll tell you what, man, I would have been pretty cool to be Jon Snow, man. He got to bang the wildling chick, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Khaleesi.
He had that cool dog, the big wolf, you know, like.
Yeah, he had Khaleesi too.
He got Khaleesi too, man.
He hit Khaleesi, right?
Yeah,
he got that.
That's how season 7.
Right. He banged Khaleesi and he banged the.
Came back from
dude.
dead.
He hit the best work out there.
Even though that was his aunt.
Yeah.
You say it.
Oh right.
Because they're related.
Yeah. But no, I mean. Yeah, man, there's going to be some defects here and there, but.
A lot of defects.
What are you going to do? When you got White Walkers, what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he was such a badass.
See, when you got White Walkers, you got the authority to trump everything, man. You got zombies in the medieval time, bro. Forget about it, man.
He was badass. The Night King was badass. I feel like he just died.
They did a good job, man. They even took one of the dragons and turned it into a White Walker dragon and shit.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool. I guess it was just the way he died. I was like, okay, like that's it. And that's the way. Because I thought he was gonna go on with him fighting Jon Snow.
Well, it came all the way down to the very last minute,
and she leaped out of nowhere, 30 feet in the air to get to that.
There was a lot of commotion. Buddy was celebrating. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, who's this bitch? You know?
Should be in the fucking Olympics, because that was an incredible leap. She dashed and did an incredible leap.
So you've seen Game of Thrones. Any other big shows that you've...
I've seen some shows that I liked. There was a show called Upload. I think it was on Amazon Prime. It's actually a really cute show. I liked it. I definitely suggest anybody to want to watch that.
Have you seen Sons of Anarchy?
Of course. Tough show to get hooked into, but holy smokes, once you get hooked...
It's a slow burn.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen that one. I've heard amazing things about it. But...
Dude, it draws you in hard.
Yeah.
You know, once you get sucked in, like when you have a show that you got to go to work the next day, but you end up staying up till 4 a.m. watching fucking episode after another. That's a good show.
Yeah,
like Breaking Bad did that to me. I did that on Breaking Bad a little bit. Sons of Anarchy, Game of Thrones. There's a lot of good shows out there, man. There was a very unknown show called The Misfits. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that one.
Misfits? No, I haven't heard of that.
You should look that up. If you know nothing about it, don't learn anything about it.
Just watch it.
Just find it and watch it. I'm pretty sure you guys will like it in particular. You'll be surprised by it. It's a good show. Yeah.
Where is it on? Prime?
Good. Man, I don't know.
We'll have to look it up.
It's on some Japanese channel.
No. But
another good one that you would like, Mr. Robot. I don't know if you heard about that one.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know why I got a beef with that kid, man.
The Rami Malek?
With his stupid ass portrayal. I know everyone's gonna hate me for saying this, but man, he looked
Bohemian Rhapsody.
He looked like Freddie. Great job, but man, you know what? I just got really aggravated with that stupid look on his face throughout the whole movie. I don't know if I'm sad or I'm happy or I'm angry. This is me angry. This is me.
I think you will like Mr. Robot because it's about the 1%.
Everything that you like talk about, like the elites, the 1%, currency.
So it's got nothing to do with robots.
No, it's actually about hacking and.
So he's a hacker.
Yeah, and and a lot about I don't want to spoil it, but it has with foreign countries trying to infiltrate the U.S., but not in the Hollywood way.
It seems like it's a good show because I keep seeing it around.
It's
and the kid's obviously a really talented actor and shit. You know, I don't know why.
You'll like him more in this one. He's definitely not Freddie Mercury.
The first
Christian Slater.
What?
Christian Slater's in it as well. Yeah,
is in the show as well, and he does.
In iRobot.
Yeah,
I like
Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot. Yeah, no, iRobot is the Will Smith movie. You don't want to.
You don't. You
don't want to see that one. But
I like Christian Slater. He used to.
No, he does great in that show.
That show to me is like there's Breaking Bad is up there for me. Obviously, if you like
iRobot, is that far up?
Mr. Robot is right there. If not,
pass it.
It might pass. It's that good for me.
Now you're fucking me up.
Yeah, it's that good for me. It's
right because everything you've said right now, it's basically like the show kind of what
I think you'd be hooked into it. I think so.
How many seasons were there?
4 seasons, short and sweet.
Like, I think season 2 had 15 episodes.
Yeah. It was a little 13.
Did you guys ever see Animal Kingdom? You probably never seen that Animal Kingdom.
No.
The surfer family that lives a life of crime.
That's like a TNT show, right? Was it on TNT? I think they would give it on TNT.
I think we're trying to talk about. Yeah, that was on TNT.
Yeah, they were
Animal
bank robbers or some shit.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I liked it. There's a lot of shows that had great runs and just you wish they would have continued, you know. But everybody went their own way. They accomplished success and said, "Fuck it, I'm good."
It's very hard for shows to keep that, just to keep it going for a long period of time, especially like sitcoms and stuff. But the best thing is those shows that they're short, sweet. Like Breaking Bad was 5 seasons or something?
Was it only 5 seasons?
But 20 episodes.
20. Yeah, the seasons were longer. Mr. Robot 4 seasons, 10 to 12 episodes a season. That is the only show movie. It's just like movie quality.
You know what's crazy?
Television.
I can't find any good humorous shows, any funny shows. I can't find
because comedy is now with comedy. You have to be careful what you say now. You can't now. You can't say jokes. That's offensive.
What kind of comedy shows do you like?
I can't fucking remember.
It's been that long, huh? Are you into sitcoms?
I mean, I used to like a little bit of anything if it worked. I mean,
Friends? And
a little too friendly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there was just
you need darker normal humor.
Yeah, I mean, I was a Seinfeld guy. I was a Seinfeld guy. Like he was the originator. But funny shows, man. Fuck.
I haven't seen it, but I heard It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is funny.
Yeah, I went through some. I was going through a tough period once. A couple of years back, and I had to focus on watching comedy only, and that was the only show that was able to help me get through.
Wow.
And but then I just I couldn't take, that show starts with 2 minutes of talking, and then it's to the yelling, and everybody's yelling, and I got burned out on all the yelling because everything was always commotion and hysteria and yelling, and it burned me out after a while.
Yeah.
But I think I got through maybe the first 2 or 3 seasons, and
there's a lot.
I liked it.
10.
Yeah, and I think it's still going. I think they brought it back.
Yeah. I mean, I had some episodes in that show that had me breaking a rib. I was laughing so damn hard, man. Did you guys watch that show?
I haven't. No. I've heard great things about it, but I haven't been able to watch it yet.
Those early seasons are good.
Yeah,
they're good, man. There was this one episode where they had a trailer and they do some shit, and
Reno's a good one too.
Reno 911.
Yeah, it was a little over the top for me, but it had some funny stuff. I remember enjoying. Now, funny movie, Step Brothers, probably one of my all-time favorits.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with it. How about my wings?
It's funny because I'm always on YouTube, just watching shit on YouTube. So now I'm on this trail of there was a show called Eastbound and Down.
With Danny McBride.
Yeah, Danny McBride. Yeah. And oh my God, Will Ferrell plays this Ric Flair character. Yeah. Fucking death, man. He is that fucking guy is hilarious, man. He's holy smokes. I can't believe just how funny that guy is. He kills me. Cracks me up.
Have you seen because Danny McBride is funny, man. Danny McBride,
he is.
Will Ferrell. That there's a certain group,
but he made a fucking movie, dude. that was so bad that you would tell your worst enemy to watch it because that's how fucking
Danny McBride or Will Ferrell?
I think Danny McBride.
Was it Your Highness?
No, it was called I think it's called The Foot Fist Way, where he plays a karate instructor, and it's one of those dark comedy kind of things.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't hit the mark of comedy at all. It just stays in this weird, fucking pointless vibe.
You just feel nothing.
Yeah, and you're just you watch the whole movie. You're like, did I just watch that whole thing? I want to kill something.
Yeah.
I think the last good dark comedy we watched was the Art of Self-Defense.
The Art of Self-Defense, yeah, with Jesse Eisenberg.
Done it. My kid was just fucking telling me that he watched it, and he
it's funny. It's
kind of like the opposite of what you just said about the Danny McBride.
You're trying to find that spot. I know it's one of those weird movies, but now that's it. I'm fucked. I gotta watch it.
Yeah, it hits the spot that you're looking for. You know, where we were watching it, we're like, wait, is this movie serious or not? No. But then it starts being funny, and then
I started watching it one night because that kid's kind of intriguing to me. You know. Even though there's something I don't like about him anymore, but I was like, all right, that looks pretty interesting. I'm going to watch that. And then I started watching it, and it just started having that dull, monotone fucking tone of pointlessness to it. And I was like, you know what? I can't, in the immortal words of a friend of mine, well, someone that we hung out with once, I was like, I can't take another loss, man. So I didn't have the courage to see it through, so I backed out of it.
Oh, you got to finish it because it picks up. It starts off very eerie. You're kind of like, okay.
Just stop.
And then it picks up.
It's on the hit list.
Yeah.
I've officially got something to watch.
I think the last one I saw in theaters that was funny was Game Night. That was
I like Game Night.
You know,
Game
I
Night
was
cool.
surprised. I actually...
It was a good time.
Yeah, it was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, same here.
I don't know why I didn't want to like it. I just found something pompous about it. But, I was like, you know what? I hate to admit it. It's kind of funny. you know?
And that whole one take thing was cool.
Huh?
That whole, that one, they had like a one take scene in that movie when they have the ball. It was like
with the egg, when they're at that rich party and they got to steal that egg from the house or something. That whole shot that was done in one take. It was like... It was funny, but it's very rare for a comedy movie to actually be shot really well, Yeah.
Well, that's what made Step Brothers so fascinating because it was all improv. They created that strategy to make that movie
super bad
from Talladega Nights because
it's
in Talladega Nights, the famous dinner scene, they just decided, all right, you know what? Instead of having a script. Everybody knows your character. This is pretty much the theme. Go, and just go with whatever you think your character.
That's when you get the best stuff.
And and it worked like gangster. And because that was such a successful part of the movie, the same creators when they came together for Step Brothers, like let's just go the whole way like that. What's the theme of the scene? And go, boom, and.
I've seen some behind the scenes. I was showing it to Josh, and I forgot the actress's name, but who plays the mom,
Mary Steenburgen.
And she was talking about how she was so nervous to go to work all the time, because she would show up, and then you're never prepared with Will Ferrell and what's his name?
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly, because there was that one scene where the dad is like pulling out of the driveway. And he was like throwing a bike on the car and jumping, like all improv. Like they're always keeping you on your toes.
Yeah, man.
But it makes it works. And not just comedies, but in movies in general.
Both the father and her, they both felt like, I can't do this shit. These guys are natural comedians. We're like serious actors. Like we don't do that shit. But it worked. It
works in movies in general when you gotta let actors be sometimes. Like in comedies and also in more serious roles. Like I don't know if you've seen Joker. With Joaquin Phoenix, a lot of the bathroom scene, which is like the infamous, that's like everybody's favorite scene. That was completely improv. I mean, it wasn't in the script at all.
Yeah, like because they were struggling with that bathroom scene, and the
Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips, he has the soundtrack. He played that song that you hear in the scene, and Joaquin started dancing.
That's so cool.
He started just doing that,
and then I love the backstories on things. You know, like I'm that way with music too, man. I'll hear a song and I'll be like, how the fuck did they come up with that story? You know, the lyrics and what was that from? You know, like that's what's intriguing to me. I love the backstories, man.
Yeah, because you watch and you think, oh, these people know what they're doing all the time, and in reality,
do you have like a favorite trilogy or like a movie?
I mean, I'm a big fan of the Godfather movies.
Yeah, those are great.
And there's just so many. There's tons, man. I grew up on TV. I love movies and shows and stuff, you know. But you know, I'll tell you something funny. Talking about movies and shit. I think that whether you like it or not, a great trilogy worth watching is the Godfather series. Because
it's perfection. Those first two.
Yeah, no, it's all of the above. But that was something that I had watched since I was a child, and you know, I watched it throughout my life, and then probably like a hot minute ago, back in my early years at my shop, like 5 or 6 years in, you know, when things were still fucking really slow, you know, I had this one summer where I started watching. I decided to go ahead and start watching it, you know, from the beginning, Godfather 1, 2, and 3. But by this time I was grown, you know, I was already, you know, an adult, you know, and I don't know, late 30s or 40s. And wow, you know, like what a contrast. I couldn't help always being impressed and surprised by all the nuance and the level of difference that I was learning and picking up as I was watching it now as a full adult, you know. And I was watching it every day. Like some days I'd get 40 minutes in, you know, I'd watch 40 minutes of it, and then the next day I'd watch 30 minutes of it, then the next day I'd catch an hour of it. And, you know, I was just watching it in parts every day, you know, until I finished the first one and I went through the second one, and, you know, and it probably took me like maybe like 3 weeks, you know, because the shit was that long. But it's like I could teach a college course on life just through the use
of those movies,
those 3 movies in particular, because they really, really can allow you to explain human characteristics and psychology and the difference between what makes this an incredible image to want to follow and this, why you wouldn't want to be like that, and so forth and so on. Just a real fascinating, and what makes it more impressive is that it's from the late 70s. You know, it was started in the late 70s. So it's just funny how things happen, you know, how Al Pacino, you know, was a nobody before that movie, and they had all these big names that they were trying to get for the starring role of Michael Corleone. And, you know, man, everybody just fell through. Everybody wanted more money or some bullshit. And you know, back then everything was on a fucking budget. And, you know, Coppola was like, no, fuck it. I want to go with this kid, you know, this unknown, you know. And they rolled the dice on Pacino, and like, you know, no homo, but I got a man crush on that motherfucker through that movie, man, because
he's amazing.
You know what? Damn, you hit it perfect. You know what? The way you just said it just captures it in perfect. He was amazing. It's just amazing. You know, just his mannerisms, his characteristics, how the guy always kept his cool. He was always very cool, very level-headed, very in control, never loses his temper in front of anybody, you know, very rarely. Wasn't until like the third part, you know, where he kind of explodes and loses his temper in front of people once, you know, but great shit.
Yeah, I never watched them. But then we saw him.
Not that long ago. We actually we did a podcast on it a few weeks ago on talking about the whole trilogy because he saw them for the first time.
Yeah, I saw him for the first time.
Oh, you seen the 3 movies?
Yeah. Like for the very first time,
It's slow.
No.
It's a little slow.
Do you struggle like sitting down for 3 hours watching a whole movie? Is it hard? I know a lot of people. It's hard to sit, especially part two.
I mean, you got to be into it, to be stuck down for that long. Like the Lord of the Ring movies were always like super long.
Yeah, they're all like 3 hours.
Those are epic. Those are just.
Yeah, I mean they were fascinating, but it is pretty heavy to sit. It's a long time.
Yeah, but when I first saw The Godfather, and when part 1 ended. I was just a whole day just thinking about The Godfather. I was like, I want to sit again and watch part 2 right now. Like I just wanted to go and watch part 2.
Part 2 is the best part.
It was just
it is the best part.
Like when part 1 ended, I was just like, I was in my head, like I was working out, doing whatever. I was just like The Godfather in the back of my mind.
Yeah, and all the film courses,
and just the way like it captures the family and like each character and that world. I was like, dude, it felt like real. It felt like I was in that world.
They did a phenomenal job.
Any film class that you go to, in any film class that you go to, they say like you study The Godfather. Like you study that. Those are the perfect movie to watch. You dissect the script, watch it. It has everything that you need to learn.
It was just incredible.
In there.
It was an incredible film. It was just everything about it. It was like, dude, how can you make a perfect movie? And that's a perfect movie.
It happens. It happens.
Even in part 2.
You know what was another perfect movie? Not to get off the subject, and it's a completely different kind of movie, but it was actually pretty damn good, and I'm sure you'll know it. You guys seen it as a kid. I guarantee y'all see. I'll put money that y'all seen this movie. Major Payne.
Major Payne.
The Wayans guy, bald-headed guy. He's the black soldier.
Oh my God! Was it with Damian Wayne?
Yeah,
and he's the military.
Yeah, he's the military.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Old flick, but really good movie, man. Funny kids, man. Like I thought it was it was just perfect. Pretty plain and nothing dramatic or anything, but it was just a well done movie from A to Z. It just worked the whole way around.
There's certain movies that they just work.
Have you seen like any like Stanley Kubrick films, like The Shining or?
Yeah, you know what? I few years back finally rewatched The Shining, and it was good.
The way I see like Stanley Kubrick is the fact like his mind was so ahead of everyone else during that time. Because I watched Dr. Strangelove, and
that's old, right?
Yeah.
Is that with Peter Sellers?
That he plays like both characters. Yeah. It's like in the 60s.
Wasn't it in black and white?
Yeah.
Right. What was that movie about?
It's like a dark comedy.
Yeah,
it's a black comedy about, I think there's like a Cold War going on. And it's basically it's satire on like governments, and it's kind of like a bash at governments and how they work during a Cold War. And it's really, it's funny because, it's like, the over the top general, and but it has something to say. You know what I mean? It's really interesting.
I remember I was watching that movie. I was like, man, this comedy that he has in this film, that comedy didn't start until now with Marvel, and I was like, man, he has comedy that's like modern.
What, from Strangelove?
Yeah, it had very like modern comedy. I was
his
like, man,
style,
that's very weird. I was like his mind was just so ahead of everyone else.
You're meaning on how they're mixing in lighthearted comedy with deep, serious themes at the same time.
Yeah, like that satire.
Like his style.
Yeah, Marvel definitely captures that perfect. And now DC's copying the same mind.
And that's me. And I was like, when I watched that movie, I was like, man, like it felt like he made that movie now. But he just put black and white.
Yeah, you see his movies, and it doesn't feel like from that era of time.
Did Kubrick made Eyes Wide Shut? Right?
That was his last one.
And that one was crazy because did he die after? Or was it?
So he had you've seen the movie, right? Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
Okay, so. The movie is like 2.5 hours long. Something. It actually got cut. There's like a whole other hour that got cut back.
30 an hour.
That was gonna go deeper into those
you guys
parties.
Seen the uncut version?
No one knows.
That's where the conspiracy comes in, right? So Stanley Kubrick was heavy on just kind of like he was always raw and authentic, and he did Eyes Wide Shut. He wanted to be NC-17, but he couldn't. But that movie's pretty it's pretty graphic for what it is, right?
Yeah, it's
and
pretty intense.
Apparently the story was gonna go deeper. I don't know if you remember the scene with some of the guys. That guy that owns the clothing shop that Tom Cruise's character goes in. That his daughter was at one of the parties and she got in trouble, and the guy was yelling at the guys for flirting with his daughter. But in the next scene, like later in the movie when he sees them again, those guys paid him. And they were with the daughters. Like Tom Cruise sees the daughter with the two older guys, and the dad was okay with it because they paid money. So apparently the movie was going to go into these sex parties to a higher level of where these elite guys that were chasing Tom Cruise's character, like because he was there,
right?
He was going to go back to find his daughter, and it was actually going to go into the level of like that pedophilia stuff. Of underage girls, very similar to
Too Close
Epstein.
to Hollywood.
Yeah. So apparently it was Too Close. And this is where the weird part starts coming in. Stanley Kubrick dies of a heart attack. And then that...
Are you trying to insinuate there's a connection?
And then before the movie came out, there was a screening, and then he died of a heart attack, and then that last hour or so got cut out, and it was never seen again.
And it was rated R, instead of NC-17.
You never know. You might be onto something.
That's what's around the internet.
That's like I heard a pretty bizarre conspiracy theory surrounding the Chester, the lead singer from Linkin Park. What was his name?
Oh, okay.
Chester something.
Chester something, but yeah, of course, yeah.
Right? And his buddy Chris Cornell, who died the year previous by suicide. There was a story about how they were going to blow the lid off a pedophile ring in Hollywood, and suddenly Cornell ends up committing suicide, and then a year later this guy commits suicide.
That's interesting. So, that's another big
I mean, who knows, like, when famous people, especially rock stars, commit suicide, like, that just blows my mind, because as being someone who's never had fame or fortune, I'd love it. I wouldn't shy away from it, especially now because I have a lot more confidence about myself. I know that how I would handle it, basically, like, I mean, I think I see it as a pretty simple feat where, if I'm that famous and rich, well, when I don't want to be recognized, I'll just wear a fucking disguise, slap on a beard and dress like shit and, just go out, and not be disturbed at how awesome it is, But world famous people with all this money and then they commit suicide, like, damn, dude, like, I can't wrap my head around it. But as someone who's experienced some of the things that can make you, feel pretty bad in life, I get it. Things can be tough, man. We all go through our moments.
I feel sometimes the fame is too much. I feel like sometimes you get to a level where it's. I
mean, when I read Kurt Cobain's story, the fame was definitely fucking too much for him.
You have no privacy.
Yeah, and a lot of these people are actually real true introverts, man. They don't like people. They don't want to be around people. They don't like having pressure of having to have responsibilities that they have to honor for record labels and shit like that. And in the end, things started to spiral out of control for him, and he was getting sued because he was supposed to be doing shows and he was dropping out of shows, and he was getting sued because he was supposed to be putting out albums and he wasn't fucking doing, it just started to snowball, and it just got too much for him, and he just fucking went off by himself and blew his fucking head off. It's a lot of pressure.
I mean, when you have that much fame, popularity, whatever it is, it's a lot. And then you're dealing with the public or the media at that time and all that. And then also for people who, I've read a lot of stories where people, like, they want it all, right? And then what do you do when you have it all and you still feel like that emptiness inside? That's when it really...
Buddy, let me find out.
And because that's a big,
it's, that's a problem I believe that's an ever-growing dilemma on today's oncoming society, because I live my life around the concept of fun, you know, and you're never too old to keep having fun. And I'm all about whatever's fun, you know. If you come up with a fun idea, let's fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? You got something fun to do, I'm down. You know, whatever it is. I got a bunch of fun shit I could always be doing. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't imagine myself running out of shit to do, because there's so much to do. You know, I like extreme adventures and tattoos, and you know, like there's just so much you can do in so many different areas, man. Yeah, drugs are fun. No, just kidding. You know, but
Dare, we put the Dare logo on the, you know, like the for schools.
Go do drugs. Like fucking that ever worked. All those little bastards that said no, they're all the biggest drug addicts today, man. You know.
No, but it's interesting, man, because it's true, and sometimes, like, when you have so much, when we saw the Social Dilemma documentary, we also saw this. There's this big movement going around with Britney Spears. I don't know if you heard about it.
I was watching your show on that, but I wasn't able to continue watching it. I got busy. But what were you guys talking about there? What's that about?
So apparently,
what was the name of it again?
Framing Britney. It's on Hulu.
Okay. Oh, so that's a documentary.
It's a documentary. Yeah. And apparently, it's this whole story. You know, I'm sure you remember what happened with Britney Spears, like during that time, right? During that era,
she went off the deep end. She went off the rails.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how the media, you know, again, the media, like we were talking about earlier, how they're like evil, man. They'll bash on someone. They'll take someone and.
But in that regard, that's not so much an area where the media is being evil, where it's more
insensitive.
Well, they're insensitive, but it's not their job to be sensitive. Mm-hmm. It's their job to find the next hot story. Period.
Regardless of whatever.
So that wasn't the media being evil. That was just her, you know, going through her own personal travails and fucking up and giving the media something to fucking go after, like Piranha.
So that's the interesting thing, because the documentary actually talks about that, in the sense it kind of gives her side of what happened, and how at first she, you know, when she became really famous at a young age, she loved it. She embraced paparazzi. She embraced everyone.
She was a natural. She was great. She took to it like a sponge to water.
And when she started going out with like Justin Timberlake and this stuff like that, but then the media started
getting personal.
This is where I personally hate. You know, there's certain talk show hosts, like there's people like Matt Lauer and those people. I don't know. He doesn't work anymore, but where they see someone so famous and popular, where I feel like they want to get a reaction out of you on national television. Oh, there's
always people like that,
and they're gonna play it innocent and be like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And then they know they got you, and that's gonna be the headline. And I feel like that's what happened with her. From how I saw the documentary, she started going out with Justin Timberlake, and the media started covering her extra more, a lot. They started labeling her as her unfit as a role model, a whore, you know, very slutty because of the way she performed and this and that.
Right.
And then Justin Timberlake and her like broke up for whatever the reason. It's very high schooly, but it affected her in a huge way.
It's unfortunate, but you know, you gotta have
essentially the media have
thick skin, man.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Not everyone, and essentially it's about how the media just took her off the deep end.
And that's where that big ego makes you weak. You know, because your big ego is as fragile as it is big. So criticism and negativity, your ego, it's like, you know, I don't know what that word, antithesis or something like that. It's the antithesis to your ego. You know what I'm saying? That's like poison.
Yeah.
And you know, she just couldn't fucking tolerate that kind of shit. Like, oh fuck, people hating on me, like, but I'm perfect, you know?
And I feel like that's the thing though. I feel like she tried, because the documentary is really well done in the sense of the footage. They show interview clips and all that. And I feel like it just took a toll on her, where she tried to stay cool about it. and I feel like she just snapped. You know, there's interviews they asked her about the paparazzis. I could see why you could, dude. There were paparazzis like raiding the gas station.
You know, man,
she couldn't even get out of the bathroom.
Are they mean? Are they insensitive? Are they assholes and scumbags? Yeah, but they are also their own industry.
Yeah,
that's how they are making their living. Mm-hmm. That's an industry unto itself.
They were offered $1 million to get a picture of her off guard. Up to $1 million.
Of course. Yeah. And who the fuck isn't going to do whatever it takes to get that picture? But what I'm getting at is that in the game, you know, sometimes when we'd be playing paddleball, sometimes some newcomers would try to overstep their boundaries and play against players that were, you know, above their level, and we'd shred them, you know, and give them a good lesson on why you got to know your place. Yeah. You know, and what we would say is, if you step on, you're fair game, you know, and, you know, if you have the balls to want to be a part of the world famous elite, then you better be ready. No. And, you know, the unfortunate reality, as we always continue seeing with different individuals, is not everybody's always ready. Yeah. And, you know, she just was, you know, when it came down to it, she couldn't take the heat. Yeah. You know?
She snapped.
And completely. So, you know, I think that's more on her than anyone else, because it could be any one of us. You know, it could be any one of us, you know. Maybe the three of us might become super hot stars overnight, and maybe I'll start breaking. Maybe I'll start snapping. Maybe I'll start getting fed up with the invasion of my privacy, and you two guys are taking it in stride. You're like, oh, man, just fucking go with it. It's like a bad trip, you know? Yeah. So it's on the person. Yeah. You know, this comes with the territory, man. Yeah. Fame and fortune comes with the territory.
And where it gets really interesting, though, is so when that was happening, right? That's when she shaved her head. It was a way as just saying, "Fuck you. This is what you're gonna get out of me."
Yeah, well, you know, and it's also like saying, "Oh, well, you want dirty laundry here? Fucking knock yourself out." Now it's like my way of showing you that it's not bothering, but actually, you are showing them that it's bothering you. Yeah. You're showing them that it's got you way out of sorts, much more than what you want to give away about.
Yeah,
yourself.
It was just like, this is what you're getting now, you know. And then where it really gets really bad is when all that was going on, her dad, who wasn't around that much, came into the picture, and they did that the conservatorship. That's what it's called, where basically is you're mentally unfit to handle any of your financial or business decisions.
So he took over her shit.
And still is. That's where it gets really interesting. Right now, she's, you know... So the documentary goes deeper after that, right? She has that breakdown, but then she kind of has that comeback, right? But during that comeback, she had signed that conservatorship with her dad.
She signed over her rights to her father? For him to run
At first, it was temporarily. Because they were like, you got to do this because you're not you're unfit. If not, then there's not much we can do for you.
And the dad was never around.
Yeah, the dad was always...
He was never around.
He was... During her success, he wasn't around. He was just...
So what do you guys think? The guy just took advantage of the situation?
No, so he comes in with his lawyers and stuff, and at first it's temporary, right? And then they tell her, no, let's make this permanent. And so during her comeback, they're the ones negotiating all her business deals. So that's when she started appearing in a lot of sitcom shows, a lot of concerts, and she was making this big comeback. Nothing was her decision. And a lot of that money was going to her, but it was all controlled by them. Wow. So she had no control over financials, still doesn't. So as that was going on, there's clips of her talking.
That kind of sounds like what they did, that Animal Channel did to Caesar Malone, the dog whisperer guy, a similar kind of situation where, you know, they kept the rights to his fucking name, you know?
And this is that like times 10, because she literally had no control. And there was a clip that, you know, and she's making a great comeback, by the way. Like, her career is good. She has good spotlight. And there was a point where they were interviewing her, and she was like almost crying. She's like, yeah, like, all this is here, but she has no freedom. She has no control of anything. They're telling her what to do.
You're a permanent. You just turned yourself into a permanent puppet employee of somebody else handling you.
And she's been
kind
saying,
of like our president.
Yeah. and she's been saying, yeah. And she's been saying how, like, look, I am good. I am mentally, I can tell you right now, I don't need this anymore. So right now, the movement is about her battling with the courts. And she's slowly trying to get her control back. Her freedom back. She has no control over her financials, her estates. I'll tell you what,
man. That's where you touch on the subject where the law sucks dick.
Because the only way it can be reversed is if the conservatory, which is her dad,
will grant that back to her.
Exactly.
And what are the chances of that fucking happening?
Yeah, it's not happening.
He like her dad has everything: the property, her money.
Yeah, estates.
Like who's visiting her? Who can see her?
And why would he give all that up if he doesn't have to? If no one's forcing him to do it, why would he voluntarily do that?
So that's basically what it's all about right now.
Crazy. It just shows you.
It
just shows you
that sucks.
How
that's
money
so tragic.
It just shows you how money is.
Her dad too. That's her dad.
It doesn't matter who you are. It can be even your father.
Yeah.
Money turns you into the biggest animal.
But what makes the documentary so well done is you see it from the start. From the very beginning, there's clips of her dad, and they were saying how, as long, when she's famous, she can buy me a boat. He wasn't really there to see her perform or see her. It was all about, hey, if you make it, that's money.
His mind, because like when she was first starting, she had talent. She can sing.
Sure.
And it was a talent, like a talent agent, whatever. And his only thing was the money. His thing was money. He didn't give a shit about the
father.
Yeah, the father.
Yeah, yes.
His thing was, how much is going to cost me? How much do I have to pay for this?
Right.
His thing was always about the money and never about her. And then when she got the fame, he didn't even care that she was famous and like good at her job. He just wanted her to buy nice shit, boats, and the money. So to me, he was never around.
That's the human condition, man.
And that's when she had her lawyer. They interviewed her former lawyer, and her lawyer was going to help her with that, to like sign the conservatorship and all that. But then the dad and his lawyers had him removed, and they put in their lawyer. And he was like, I can't really say on camera, but that's where things got weird, because why isn't she allowed to have her own? And then now, to this day, this was 2010s, 2012.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To this day, they're still battling. They have it. They got it.
That crazy.
And I think something happened with the lawyer, that he was getting like money on the side. Money on the side.
And one day she had a residency in Vegas where she would perform every week, and she was making $1 million a week in performances. Everybody was going to see her. They were getting that money. But mind you, you're getting all that money, but it's not yours. You don't have control over it.
That's insane. So how much of that money was she getting?
Exactly. And at one point, when they announced the residency again for the new year, she got like this big property. She comes out. She was supposed to do a huge interview with the media. She was going to perform for all the fans waiting there. When she came out, she waved at everyone, walked down the carpet, and left in her limo. Like 8 weeks.
That's a real sweet FU to the world.
Yeah. And I think a couple months later, they canceled the residency, and then she's been gone. Like, she's been off the grid since.
Sure.
And now she's fighting for. Yeah. She said, "Fuck this! I'm not doing it anymore."
I think she's finally making the right choice.
Yeah. It's a really interesting documentary.
I think that law is only for like older people who are mentally unable.
Yeah.
In the end, she finally found a way to win. Good for her.
And you see like the guys ready for the interview, the media people. They're like, and she's walking, and she just went in. And,
beauty.
All the fans were like confused. A very similar situation happened with, I don't know if you heard about the Snyder Cut.
The who?
Snyder Cut. Justice League? The movie Justice League?
Yeah.
Came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about the Snyder Cut. There's a whole movement that happened on Twitter and everything. So
are you talking about Justice League or Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, Justice League, the movie. Like Batman, Aquaman, that came out.
Who's Snyder?
So Zack Snyder is the director of, he did like Man of Steel and then Batman v Superman, right? So he had his own MCU, but for the DC universe, right? So he had his version of the Justice League, and he filmed it and everything, and then he couldn't finish. He had to stop because of his daughter, passed away, and then the studio, he left, right? But then the studio brought in a new director, a guy from Marvel, and the studio kind of screwed over the whole movie, and they reshot it. They cut out the movie. Right now is 4 hours long, and the movie that came out a couple years ago is like an hour and 40. It's a big cut.
The one that we've seen.
Yes, the theatrical version.
Yeah.
And they basically screwed up his whole vision, right? We never knew this. So that happened. The movie came out as a disaster. It flopped. People hated it. They're like, what is this?
I didn't hate it, but yeah, I wasn't too blown away by it. But
a lot of reshoots, and when the hardcore fans of Zack Snyder and they've seen his movies, they're like, this is wrong. Like, where's his version? And they started a whole petition, a whole movement on Twitter called "Save the Snyder Cut," and that went on for years. This movie came out 2017. It actually comes out next week. Zack Snyder's version of the Justice League. It comes out on HBO Max. But the studios denied it. Is that the movie they've been promoting with Darkseid?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but that's a new movie.
No.
That's why it's called Zack Snyder's Justice League.
You know what? You just answered a question of mine, because in that trailer, there's a scene where I think Wonder Woman is talking to Batman, and she said something like, "I never thought the age of heroes would come back," or some shit like that. And I was like, well, if this is the second movie of the Justice League story, why would she be saying that if they're a team now? So it's like a reboot of the story.
It's like basically
it looks sick.
Yeah, so
it really looks sick.
Imagine the Darkseid was never in the original version of 3 hours, almost 3 hours of the movie was cut. And the messed up part is the studio knew this, and fans were saying, "Where's the Snyder Cut? This is not it. This movie's awful. What is this?" And the studios denied it. Oh, there's no such thing. It's not happening. There's no such thing. And the movement became so big that the studio said, let's just do it. They have HBO Max, the streaming service.
Well, I find that hard to believe, as opposed to...
It's never been done before.
Well, there is this other version that never got released, and people want to see it, and, why not take advantage of making another couple $100 million? It's already made.
So the thing is, Zack Snyder said this, if it wasn't for streaming services, this wouldn't have happened, right? Because then they would have to pay to release it in theaters and this whole thing. They're doing it, but it's coming on HBO Max, their streaming service. So the movement became so big, and they had a billboard in New York for it. Like, the fans put in money themselves to fight for this guy's vision. Yeah, this has never been done before. So,
well, good.
Yeah, and Zack Snyder came out like, yeah, it's real. Then the actors started coming out in support of him.
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought you were going into the story of the director from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Oh, James Gunn. No. He just got canceled and then got uncanceled. But that's just
because he was making some jokes about pedophilia.
It was weird jokes. Yet again, he got uncanceled. He got rehired, and then we have situations like Gina that,
And then they tried canceling Chris Pratt.
Mind you, he has no social media.
No, he doesn't. He has Instagram, but he doesn't post anything.
No,
it was before he was. But then we caught the heat for being a Christian.
Yeah.
They just automatically
he was wearing an American flag shirt.
And people automatically assumed that he was
racist. Well, due to the fact that he's a Christian religious person.
Yeah.
And since that's something that's supported by Trump, it just makes you a target. Anything that aligns you with anything that aligned with him, okay, we got to eliminate you.
You know what's a good movie you should watch? Into the Shadows. Is it Into the Shadows?
Oh, yeah. No, Out of the Shadows.
Out of the Shadows. And that's a great movie.
How old is that?
It came out
a year or two ago.
That sounds really familiar to me.
It's a documentary about this stunt guy in Hollywood that he was a big stunt guy. He did like The Matrix and stuff. Then he started directing.
He goes into the witchcraft and all that shit. He was talking.
He talked about Hollywood and the Satanism and
yeah. I seen that documentary. Yeah, really interesting.
Mind you, I followed them on Instagram and stuff. It all got taken down.
Sure.
And on YouTube.
For obvious reasons, right?
And on YouTube, it had 30 million views.
30 million views on YouTube.
It's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
It's all connected. Hollywood's connected to, today's political group.
Yeah.
And it's all part of the controlling monopoly, Which,
that video got 30 million views on YouTube, and if you tried searching it yourself, it wouldn't come up. You had to get a direct link.
I've seen a few different videos that came up exposing certain things that, you know, they immediately fucking deep six that shit afterwards.
It's crazy.
So, it's crazy, and it's the reality of just the power that they have, man, you know. And like I said, man, it's a shame that 75 million people could not become, you know, a unified force, you know, and there's no violence in that, and there's nothing criminal about any of it, you know. Just don't support something and don't go out and be a part of something, and 75 million people can really make a fucking statement, man. Like, I just can't get over that idea, you know. Like, how cool would that be? Yeah, fuck it. The Democrats will fucking take over everything. What, like they already fucking have it? You know what I'm saying? You know, they and any opposition they get, they just fucking they steamroll it. You know, they'll just get some dirt on you. You know, it's how it is.
I mean, we gotta start a movement.
Huh?
We got to start a movement like the Snyder Cut guys.
You know, well, that's the problem with starting a movement. When you don't have any way of protecting yourself, you're better off not. Because you start a movement, you immediately become isolated and left out in the cold on your own, and you become targeted. You know?
That's it, yeah.
But, you know, on the other hand, a movement where people just follow a thought and commit the action of no action whatsoever, that's a whole different ballgame. I'd love to see them scrambling and going, oh, fuck, some smart ass got this idea of talking everybody into not voting. Now we got to fucking generate 100 million fake Republican votes. You know what I'm saying? Jeez.
It's crazy, man.
I could see it. I could see it happening. I'll bet they would. You know, listen, it's all in their hands. When you have the power that they have, there's just like technology and movies can do anything. There's nothing they can't do either. So, you know, but they can't shoot you for not voting. You know, they can't target you for not voting. And if, you know, so many people didn't vote, they can't attack so many people for not voting. They might say thanks, but then they're also going to go, what if this happens in 4 years from now, the next election too? What the fuck are we going to do then?
Yeah.
We just let in all these illegal immigrants for nothing. You know what I'm saying? But they don't give a fuck either way. It's not going to bother them either way. You know, they live in fortresses, privileged fucking lifestyles, you know, separated from fucking mere mortals. So it's all fucking, it's all bullshit. I mean, isn't it? Don't you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you really see any validity in anything? You know, I mean, I seen somebody posted a picture of a receipt from when Trump was still president, and a gas receipt from the same gas station 3 months later after Biden. And the gas went from, I don't know, $1.93 to $2.59.
That's crazy.
You know, like that's reality. You know what I'm saying? That story of 11,000 jobs just got fucking shot down. I heard someone talking on the radio how they were saying they're so brilliant that they shot down 11,000 jobs. They shut down our first successful clean renewable energy system. And now we got to go back to purchasing our oil from abroad. You know, where does any of this... Oh, it makes sense because they're trying to appeal to all the younger generation that they sold on the concept of climate change and the world's going to die in 10 years. So look, we're making our mark. You know, we're keeping our end of the bargain. To what point? You just sold us out worse. You just made our life more costlier. You know what I'm saying? Now we're going to go back into debt further. We're going to make less easier money for ourselves. There's absolutely no logic whatsoever. But like I said before, everything that makes sense is now fucking backwards, you know? And then there's what they're gonna do to your kids. You know, the day that you have kids, that's a fucking subject you don't even want to touch. It's so tragic. You know, your 6-year-old kid will sit on your lap one day and you'll say, "So, Junior, what you learn in school today?" And, "Oh, I learned how the scumbag white Europeans came from their country just to rape and pillage the poor innocent Indians and stole everything for themselves for no reason at all." Wow. History sure has changed, you know? But sure shit, that's the version they're going to catch, you know?
And no more Dr. Seuss books.
Yeah, you know, like it's, you know, I remember seeing this give birth to itself. And I remember saying to myself, you can't do this, because once you open that door, it's going to snowball into hell. And everything the way I seen it happened. Just like that. You can't try to sterilize a society without destroying it, you know? Because a society is made up of millions of different types of individuals from all walks of life and all different unique thought patterns. And it is what it is. You know, there's no way to make 100 million different individuals align to one thought pattern. Shit just don't work like that. But guess what? That's where we're at. You know, I just posted a video from Snowden, Edward Snowden. You seen that video?
No.
Where he's talking about what's coming, you know, how everything's going to be controlled. Everything. It's already starting. You know, they were talking about Cuomo, that he's following the Chinese methods of where, you know, if you don't got the vaccine, you're going to be listed. You know, you won't have like something on your phone to show that you got it. So you won't be allowed into anywhere. You won't be allowed to fly, you know.
Yeah, like the COVID pass.
Yeah, all that kind of shit. That's control, you know. I mean, you know, the thought of, well, if you don't get your vaccine by next week, you're on house arrest for life. You're not allowed out into public unless you take this shot. And some people may not want it. You know, some people may not want it. Should he really be forced to do something that he doesn't feel like doing? How American is that? When was that ever part of the American way? But it's all done now because that's the new American way. And all the more reason why 75 million people should just stay the fuck home, you know, in the midterms and in... I mean, regardless, you know, if you really think about it, it's just such a stupid concept any way you look at it. Because 2 years from now, the influx of the immigrants will be pretty heavy by then, you know? So their insurance plan will work like gangster, you know? And then 4 years from now, we're going to be so flooded with immigrants that there's no fucking way we're ever going to see anything other than a Democrat president for at least the next 3 presidents in a row. By the time you see a Republican president again, he'll be a Democrat operative. He will. He'll be a Democrat actor. You know, like, yeah, we better let him get a win, you know, so we don't look so obvious, you know. All right, you know what? Guess what? You're a Republican. That's it. You're pretty popular. People like you. You know what? Guess what? Become a fucking Republican. You're gonna win. That's it. The same way they fucking snuck shitfuck President Puppet Boy into the presidency. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's where it's at. You know, and once control takes that level, the highest level of authority over everything, the fuck chance do any of us normal fucking nobodies have against any of it? Get in line or fucking get thrown into the fucking pen. You know, there was you guys probably remember George Carlin, the comedian. George Carlin, he always fucking rallied against government. Always. He was this kind of a hippie type, you know, and all his humor was always fucking ridiculing the government and you know, just denigrating the government. And, you know, but back then he was way ahead of his time and things weren't nowhere near what this is, you know, but he's seen it, you know, and now everything that he was talking about is now in full effect, literally. So there you go. Kudos to you, George, you know, but just like he's seen it and tried to raise awareness, you know, he had popularity and a lot of big shows, comedy shows and shit, still made fuck of a difference, you know. Nobody went and, you know, did anything about it. Everybody just went on about their daily business. The same way that we all are doing right now, in the way that under our very noses, all of our American values are continuing to be sucked fucking dry and sold out, you know, while all of the most poisonous thought concepts are now in full effect and growing. You know, they're just, you know, it's an open highway for them to just run rampant and go. There's no stopping it now. You know, cancel culture is in full swing. The social media monster's in full swing. And people don't realize it, that they are all a vital component of that mechanical monster. Is social media a fantastic fucking thing? Yeah, it's awesome. It's super cool. You can do so many cool things with it. In the very same way that people got hooked on Facebook, you know, when you went on for the first time and you suddenly were in contact with names and faces that you hadn't spoken to in years. That's the draw, you know, that's the poison, that's the hook, you know. Social media, you know, we all use it for a lot of great things. It's a tremendous power. However, what's the old saying in Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. How many people are fucking that responsible? Look at all the personal lives that have been destroyed over it. Marriages, relationships, suicides, you know, cyberbullying, the whole 9 yards, man. You know, yeah. Because when something is too good and gives you too much power, it's just as beneficial for evil people. And if you were to look at it in a comparison of, all right, 325 million people in America, let's just say 50% are good people using the social media properly and responsibly, and 50% are twisted people who are just doing fucking, you know, nasty shit with it. There's a fucking word, deviant natured people, you know? Well, the evil's always going to overtake the good because it's a influence, and influence is the most dangerous weapon on earth, as you just seen the way that the mainstream media took control of an entire population of normal, decent people and turned them into ravenous animals that are triggered at the sight of someone wearing a red hat. You know, I seen it myself with my own two eyes, you know. I was sitting in the parking lot at a mall and I seen this one dude walking out with a couple bags in his hands wearing his hat. And this lady walking in with her two kids got triggered out of control. Left the kids at the front door and ran the guy down and started screaming at him and pulled his hat off and shit.
Wow.
And most likely, that's a normal, mild-mannered woman who's probably never attacked anyone in her whole life. But that's the sheer veracity of the power of the mainstream media. Feeding poison to an unsuspecting public every single day. You're just being fed, and then it becomes an addiction. You got to get your daily dose. I got to get my daily dose of Trump hate. And all I got to do is just turn on any news channel at any hour of the day. I'm gonna get it within 5 minutes. I'm gonna get my daily dose. And what's really funny, I conducted a little social experiment on my own when I did a Europe tour a couple years ago. And I intentionally wanted to watch the news. I was in Italy, and France, and Denmark, and Amsterdam, maybe another place I can't remember offhand. But I intentionally wanted to see the news to see how much Trump news there would be. Wow, it's all there was. It's all there was. What the fuck does Italy give a fuck about Trump? But yet, 5 minutes in, oh, then Trump, blah, 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 the devil. You know what I'm saying? And what's really even funnier is that the versions of the stories that they would get on the other side of the world, what they were getting, like the stories being reported here locally were already retardedly fucking stupid, filled with lies. Their versions would be lying on steroids, man, just absolute to the point of absurd, but there you go. It don't matter, because what's the one thing that they know that they don't even got to worry about banking on, and that is people are stupid, they're inherently lazy, no one's going to research shit, and everybody believes the news because everybody grew up on the news. End of story. So they got you, man. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, it's too fucking easy, and there you go, Anyway, that's it.
Oh man, that was a good rant right there, man. That was powerful.
Was it?
That was powerful, dude.
That was deep.
I don't know, man. Deep. I mean, I got tons of that shit. But like I said, what's the point?
Alex, man, we'll probably wrap it up here. We've been on for a bit, man. It was great.
How long has it been?
It's 12:07 now.
Oh wow!
And we
flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Hey man, if you ever want to come back on, you're more than welcome.
I'll fucking bring my kid on. We'll talk about some MMA shit.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
And talk about how, if anyone, because I think that a good show is just a thought, but an interesting show could be on how anyone can follow their dreams, even if you wanted to do your own podcasting. Podcasting is the new thing. It's probably the easiest way to start if you're trying to start doing something. It's the most liberating because you're running by your own fucking rules, however you want to do it. And it's like many things, something that I've always wanted to fucking do. I just got such a long list of things that I wish I would have done and never got around to doing it, But there's tons of good shit to talk about, man. And I got shit for days.
Awesome, man.
Well, so, maybe we could talk about that stuff, and
for sure, dude.
You could be the ones telling us, like, yeah, well, because on one hand, you don't want to tell people how to be your competition, but on the other hand, there's not real competition because your content is unique to your own brand of what works for you. And I don't see podcasting as competing with one another, because the kind of thing that your neighbor is doing podcasting has got nothing to do with what you're doing with your podcast and the guy next to you and so forth. I mean, I think that's what makes podcasting so interesting and unique, and attractive, because you can't be copying what the guy next to you is saying, Everybody's got their own shit to say.
You can collaborate with each other, right? I can go on this person's podcast and everybody helps each other, if anything.
I've always said, together we work better. That's always been my motto in life. I live by the concept of the more you give, the more you get. Like I just bought myself a crazy toy. a very stressful, expensive, crazy toy. And my one friend who's a mechanic, oh, you're losing your money. You're crazy. You're stupid and this and that. But he doesn't understand that I'm not into it for the money. You know, it's a hobby that I purchased, and it's something that I've always dreamed of having, and I never thought I would be able to have, and now I can afford to have it, and I have it, and now I want to max it out. You know, I want to take it to the highest level possible, you know? You're never going to make your money back, and this and that, you know? And so, you know, maybe I paid more than I should have to get it, you know? That's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I got what I wanted. And as long as you get what you want and you like what you have, then that's what it's about. You know, but the money, the thing. If you work, then you'll never have to worry about money. You know, it doesn't mean you're rich, but it just means you can afford your shit. You know, so as long as I know that I'm always going to be a workaholic, then fuck the money. You know, if I got to... You know, I broke down and a tow truck had to pick up my shit and deliver it home, and it costed bread, and I gave the guy a $40 tip. That's all right. You know, when the tow truck driver was picking up my shit, you know, my friend was trying to negotiate him down. I'm like, I don't want this fucker to leave me hanging here. You know what I'm saying? I'll pay it. Just pay. If you can afford to do it with a smile. And you know, and if you can afford to throw a little on top extra, if it's worth it, do it with a smile, because as long as it's coming from the right place for the right reasons, it's always going to come back to you. You know, we were actually in a little bit of a slow period. I paid all this extra money I didn't have to, but I did it because I wanted to, because I had faith that it would come back to me. Yeah, I had a couple great fucking days and it came back. Doesn't always work that way. You know, but as long as your faith is strong, you know, and your spirit's in the right direction, then the right shit keeps working, you know?
Wow. That was a great...
I keep talking too much shit.
No, I love how you went from everything sucks, the government, and like fuck everything to, hey, everything's going to be okay.
Because personal hobbies is what it's about. It's kind of going back to what we were talking about in the very beginning of how, you know, everyone is going to be controlled and everyone's so dependent on this and that and social media, you know, and the fame and fortune, and, you know, it gets to be too much, and, you know, you just don't know what to do with yourself. But if you have hobbies, like real honest to goodness hobbies, then you always have something to fill your life, some content to fill your life with, you know? It's about content, searching for that constant ever search of content, you know? Like your job is to search for content to keep feeding this baby that's a baby right now, and hopefully someday tomorrow it's going to be the ravenous monster that the UFC baby has become, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
So there it is.
There it is. That's it's a great closing statement right there, man.
That's right.
All right, man. All right, guys. That's the end of our podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Alex, anything you want to close off with? Anything you want to...
fuck the world, suck a dick, and don't fucking vote ever again. You know, if you want to make a statement, fucking do it through the action of no action whatsoever. It'll be the easiest statement you'll ever make, and it'll be felt.
There it is. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. And until the next one, goodbye.
Doses.